We're doing this again. We're starting muted. 407. Sorry, I saw the call and I knew what it meant right away. Apologies. Well, at least we didn't go on for 4 minutes on mute this time. For some reason, when I start the StreamYard through the soundboard, for some reason the mic starts muted by default. Anyway, let's take it from the top. Again, I want to send a shout out to Larry Johnson. Of course, Larry Johnson is the former NFL star. Once upon a time, the #1 running back in the NFL for all of you fantasy football players. Years ago, when Larry Johnson was in the league at his peak, he was the guy you would have taken #1 in the fantasy football draft. And now, for the better part of the last decade, he's been a truth seeker and a truth speaker, and he's been putting out his thoughts on the internet about everything that's wrong with pro sports, especially the NFL. And if you guys aren't aware, Larry came on our show just before Super Bowl 54. That was right where his former Chiefs broke the 50-year drought in the 50 ritual. Something that we spotted in week 3 is a real scenario. Again, you guys, in Gematria, Chiefs equals 50, like San Francisco. Chiefs won their first Super Bowl in 50 years, defeating San Francisco in the Joe Montana Bowl. Of course, Joe Montana equals 54, like Super Bowl 54. But anyway, Larry learned Gematria from yours truly. He's been putting out his Gematria decodes. He said this knowledge saved his life. He got invited to an event a few years back that he thinks might have been his demise. It might have been a setup for his demise. He talked about that, and the media made fun of him and said, oh, what a crazy crackpot. He thinks someone was going to sacrifice him. Maybe so. People get sacrificed all the time, and a lot of people sit around laughing at these things going, what? Sacrificed all the time? Yeah, like literally all the time, especially as the season's about to start. I want to play a little clip of Larry Johnson sharing some knowledge and doing a Gematria decode of his own. And then I just want to talk about just things that are in the headlines the last couple of days. But yeah, Larry Johnson getting a lot of flack in the media for the better part of the last decade, the time he's been speaking out. And, people sit around and go, well, how come no one says anything? Well, what do you mean no one says anything? Here's Larry Johnson, one of the top players in the NFL when he was in the league, speaking out. And you see what happens. Doesn't really get any attention for it. And if he does, it's just stuff saying, oh, he's lost his mind. Maybe he has CTE. He took a lot of big hits to the head. Remember, he was kind of a bad apple anyway. He had a history of violence. The Chiefs had to let him go. By the way, the Chiefs let him go by the numbers once upon a time. I actually did. Shout out to Jeremy White, wherever he is. Jeremy White wanted me to ask Larry if he was aware that he was released by the numbers from the Chiefs. We didn't do that in the interview. I kept it just neutral and respectful, and it was grateful that he came on the show and shared what he did. And if you go back and listen to the interview from, again, that's right before Super Bowl 54, so it's coming up on 7 years old now. You can see that he's become a lot more forthcoming with the information he's sharing. He was quite conservative in that interview compared to what he now says. By the way, another order of business, I realize the face in the thumbnail doesn't look anything like Larry Johnson. I think these AI things do this on purpose so that you buy the subscription because, see, I asked it to create a thumbnail with Larry Johnson, the former NFL star, speaking out about how we need to boycott the NFL because people are being sacrificed, which is something he said recently on his own social media. And instead it gives me this guy that looks more like Booger McFarland. So then I asked it, I said, can you make it look like actual Larry Johnson? It says, sorry, you're going to need to pay. And I'm not paying. I was signed up for ChatGPT on the $20 membership for a few months, but it gatekeeps. Whenever you have like a viral topic, it won't make the thumbnail for you. So I'm like, I'm not giving any more money to this platform. Please. But yeah, if anyone's like, that doesn't look like Larry Johnson, trust me, I know. When my time limit is up and I can make it look like Larry Johnson, I will take the time to do that out of respect for the man. So anyway, let's just listen to Larry a little bit in his own words. Larry talked about Chris Johnson's ALS diagnosis recently, and the media got all over him and, called him all kinds of names and said he lost his mind. But again, no, this is a man who's thinking, questioning, observing, pointing out the patterns. Listen.
An overdose. Eric Dane.
Let me restart.
Went on the spiritually, I would be getting my house in order. And this is why I say this. Michael K. Williams, the actor from The Wire with the scar on his face, he went on the Good Morning America show talking about he struggled with drug addiction. Then he was found dead of an overdose. Eric Dane went on the Good Morning America show to talk about his ALS diagnosis. A year later, February 19, 2026, he's dead. Now, he died which is the first episode you've seen him on Grey's Anatomy. That's the date that he died on.
If that wasn't clear, sometimes when we're doing a live stream, we don't always say things the way we meant to say it. He died on the anniversary of his first appearance on Grey's Anatomy. And don't forget, he died on the 19th, right after the Super Bowl won by the 19 city Seattle that was up 19-0, who advanced to the Super Bowl by becoming 19-19 in the postseason all-time, exactly 19 weeks after the Pope's birthday. All right, let's continue.
If you add those numbers up, the date, it equals 67. 67 equals blood sacrifice and human sacrifice.
We all know where Larry learned that from. Let's continue.
It also equals 611. Now, Chris Johnson went on the Good Morning America show to talk about his ALS diagnosis on 629. 2 plus 9 is 11. If you see the pictures that they use.
Now, I'm going to remind people, numerology is a real thing, and there probably is definitely something to that. But a lot of times, look at the actual numbers that are there first, because Chris Johnson played a lot of his career for Tennessee, and that is the Tennessee area code, right? So this Tennessee running back goes on Good Morning America on 629 and talks about his ALS diagnosis. And he's just saying, hey, we've seen this before, and the last guy who did it didn't live that long. And we'll go back and look at Eric Dane, and we'll go back and look at Michael K. Williams. Remember, Michael K. Williams died on Idris Elba's birthday. Probably the two biggest beneficiaries of the hit HBO show, The Wire. And I've always pointed out that if you've seen The Wire, the first episode, they always put a date on the screen at the start of the episode. The first episode starts on May 4th. Michael K. Williams drops dead at 54. There was a lot to it at the time, but here, let's continue.
Used in that segment. The wife is the focal point of the family, which means she's centered, or he's off-centered. The point is they draw the attention to the wife, or to the mother now.
By the way, you guys, is the audio good right now? We're not muted, are we? Can you guys let me know if we can hear Larry Johnson? I'm sorry, I should have checked because we have been having some audio issues lately. Is the audio coming through with Larry Johnson? Are we good? It sounds fine. Okay. You know what's interesting about that? That means that StreamYard in recent days has shifted their audio settings, because I forgot to click a button that normally would keep this muted. But in the last week or so, all of a sudden when that button's clicked, you guys are getting some kind of echo if my mic isn't muted. So anyway, hopefully we get it figured out here. Let's continue.
I don't think that's by mistake. His birthday is 86 days from him coming in the public view to talk about his ALS diagnosis. 86. What does it mean to be 86th? To be removed, to be sacrificed, to be taken out. Now, I'm not saying that any of the information I'm telling you is going to save his life, or if he hears this information that it's going to save his life. I'm just telling y'all better be aware. Look at the span of NFL running backs that have been sick or taken out in a span in the last 3 or 4 years. If you really go back, it's a lot. I mean, a lot. And I said this before. When they want to take you out, they will exalt you. They will put...
For people who don't follow the NFL, Larry Johnson was an NFL running back. So, of course, he's going to be extra, aware of this. And he's absolutely right. We talk about this all the time, too. Just how many players die, and a lot of times they are the running backs. And what the skeptic would say, well, the running back takes about as much violent damage as anybody on the field, maybe outside of the safety. But again, look at all these suspicious deaths and all these young deaths. And I mean, come on. And the number he just brought up, 67, it's like almost in all of them, that number shows up. Let's continue.
Anything you suffer from on public display, and then they take you out afterwards. And the reason why I'm saying that, because I was on Good Morning America. And I'm telling you from experience that they came after me right after that segment was over. Not in the way that you would understand it, where they came knocking on my door, or, they went shooting at me or trying to run me off the road. No, they picked a specific date and tried to lure me in a situation where you would believe that I was drunk, or I was in a club, or I was fighting. When the Kansas City Chiefs went to the Super Bowl out here in Miami, in Florida, where I live, close to where that stadium is, that's when they came, that span of the couple of months, that's where they came after me. And it was right after I left Good Morning America show. So I'm telling you, the pattern recognition is there when they do this, specifically with black athletes. They got to make a show and a mockery of us and so you can see the life that we leave behind. And none of it has to do with the Torah. None of it has to do with righteousness. I mean, it's sad to say that the images that they used when talking about his diagnosis, they showed him at a birthday party for his daughters, and his daughter had the LOL surprise doll birthday. And we talked about those LOL dolls being exposed, that when you dunk them in water, they were shown to have G-strings and lingerie on. So I'm telling you, they doing this for a reason. It's a mockery for a reason. They're saying that we are taking these people out because of the life that they lived. They're not putting none of us on that's in the truth. They're not putting us on a platform and say, hey, we're going to take this person out. Look at the life that they lead. They would never show or expose our lives, especially when we know the truth of all this. So the truth and telling the truth is really causing us to be behind a hedge that they can't touch. If that makes sense to the rest of you former athletes. If I was Chris Johnson.
Okay, so if you guys don't follow Larry Johnson, he mostly posts on Instagram, and his handle is 2LarryJohnson7. He wore 27. Yeah, and again, if you haven't heard our interview with Larry Johnson, and again, this is from January 22nd, 2020, you know, he says that we inspired him to start his own show, and he's been pretty much podcasting ever since and talking about Gematria. And for all you guys who say, you know, nothing's changed in the world, things have changed in the world. For example, you have a former NFL star doing Gematria decodes, talking about people being ritually sacrificed. What we need, though, is 1,000 more former players doing the same thing. And here's something to think about. Maybe if 1,000 more people in the world had been working as hard as I have the last 13 years, maybe there would be 1,000 more pro athletes who decided to do what Larry Johnson did. So when people always come at me and say, well, Zach, you haven't done enough, is it me that hasn't done enough, or is it that there just isn't enough people doing enough yet? I say, yeah, because it could still happen. And just about ritual sacrifices and entertainment, you guys, this is buzzing in the headlines. Kavinsky, French DJ behind hit track Night Call, found dead at home in Paris. You know, France just finished in the Final Four in the World Cup. Look at the gematria of Kavinsky, you guys. He's dead at age 50, right? Here's the 4 base ciphers of the English language. Alphabetic order with numerology, reverse alphabetic order with numerology. Every single number up there stands out. That 112 and 104 should stand out in a big way. World Cup, 112, 104, right? Who went through France? It was Spain, the 31 team, who had a number of 31 rituals. And remember, we told you guys almost a year before the World Cup was played, we told you a year to the day why Argentina was going to be there. A few months later, we figured out the Messi and Yamal bathing situation. And then I said, well, look at that. From FIFA's birthday to the championship is 59 days, and it's the 23rd World Cup. Big numbers with Spain. I said, this makes too much sense. Messi versus his protege, Yamal, and exactly what you get. All kinds of, and look at what's going on in France and Spain, just burning up the country, right? Again, Spain got their 38th win, fire 38 like champion, and then the whole country's on fire. That's what we say. You get these sports championships, prepare for the destruction. Sometimes it comes before, sometimes it comes after, sometimes it's both. But anyway, Kavinsky, 112 and 104 like World Cup, like this was the first World Cup with 104 games. Messi's full name equals 104. It was the Argentinian coach's 104th game in the championship. But just everything here. I mean, do you really think it's an accident that he's found dead right after the World Cup? And I did a lazy decode on this. But anyway, it doesn't matter. His birth name, Vincent Belorge, if I'm saying that right, is 229, which is the 50th prime. Again, found dead at age 50. And notice he died right before his birthday. So they got him at 50, 3 days before he would have turned 51. Birth name and artist name 50. And keep in mind, America's 50, who hosted the majority of the World Cup where the championship was. But yeah, this is what you see all over. And again, you can really connect the dots that this is what these sacrifices are for by understanding this language of letters and numbers and dates. And again, the world of music has made songs about this. Murder by Numbers by the Police from the song from the year 83. Murder equals 83. Again, it's about how killing is as simple as ABC is 1, 2, 3. Gematria, the Killing Name by Slipknot. Another song about killing by the code of letters and numbers. Gematria, however you want to say it. It's the letter number thing that comes from Kabbalah. There's probably something up with 3 Arkansas Razorback football players dying this month. It might be something to look into as their season begins. 2 of their names are Bill, which probably reminds you of Bill Clinton. The last time the Bills were in the Super Bowl, Bill Clinton was in office. But the most recent of these 3 Arkansas players to die is also the youngest one, Billy Ray Smith, dead at 64, not all that old. Not all that old. Billy Ray Smith, dead at 64, and he died 46 days before the Chargers play their first game. How many times have we talked about suspicious deaths in 64? Sacrifice 46, Genesis 46 about sacrifice. Just happens to drop dead at 64, the reflection of 46. And, we see that 64 number with a lot of death too, because kill is 64, but 46 days before the Chargers open their season. And keep in mind, the day before, their quarterback made big headlines because he married up or got engaged to a pop star and bought her a multi-million-dollar engagement ring. So that was in the news for the Chargers the day before the death of this player at a relatively young age. And this is also a lazy decode, but again, sometimes these lazier decodes are more effective rather than getting overwhelmed with every number and every little inch of the ritual, just the same repetitive patterns. You see it all the time. Let me see. I want to listen to these guys talk. Look at this title right here. Is Larry Johnson crazy? Super Bowl conspiracy theories and rigged sports. Listen to these guys talk right here. And again, I'm going to check. Just let me know if the audio's good.
They get to pick that. The elites get to pick the Super Bowl
They
too.
pick all
LA
that
in
shit.
February
Yes,
this year?
yes, they do. They
All of
pick
it?
it all.
Wow.
Yes.
Basketball.
They already know who's
hockey,
gonna win the NBA championship. They know all that shit.
The
Yes.
elites. So, to
Well, they
elites,
call them elite.
Miami
elites,
Dolphins,
if
please.
you're watching this, the Knicks and the Dolphins, we need one, bro. Like, you forgot about us.
Please.
You forgot about us.
I started this midway, but they're making fun of this idea that people are being sacrificed for sports, like it's just some stupid, laughable idea. And what he's saying right there is we need one, Knicks fans. This is obviously before the Knicks just won the finals this year. Again, you guys, here, you needed one, you got one. Be careful what you wish for. Willis Reed, again, died at 80 on March 21st, the 80th day of the year. And keep in mind the day he died, 2-1-3. The NBA Finals, 2-1-3. Who won the 80th NBA season? The Knicks did. Again, Jalen Brunson won the 80th March Madness in San Antonio. He won the 80th NBA Finals in San Antonio. First championship in 53 years for the Knicks. On the last day of Jalen Brunson's dad, who used to play for the Knicks, being 53 years old. But look, Willis Reed, 53, right? Red Holzman, the coach of that team, 53. The Red Holzman won 613 games. The Knicks winning on 613. Go back and look at Red Holzman's death in time. Let me pull that up real quick. Don't forget, the Knicks, they won 53 games in the regular season and route to their first championship in 53 years. The game when they won the finals was the 53rd finals game for the Knicks. It was a repeat of the 99 finals, which was the 53rd NBA season. Rick Adelman turned 53, game 1 of the 99 finals, died right before this year's finals began. But Red Holzman also died at the start of that 53rd NBA season. And then the day that Willis Reed died, look at the Spurs box score. Spurs box score, March 21st, 2023. They fell to 19-53 on the day that Willis Reed died at 80, on the 80th day of the year. Willis Reed wore number 19. The Knicks would end up beating the Spurs for their first championship in 53 years. Remember the former 49er? Let's see. Let me pull this up. Before they even gave us the detail that he was found dead in a Willis Reed jersey, I was already telling you guys before the game that he was a sacrifice because he wore number 99 in the NFL, like it was a repeat of the 99 finals. Then the day after the finals are over, they give us the update that Aldon Smith was found dead in a Willis Reed jersey. And you got goofy people like this sitting around going, sacrificing people. Can you believe it? It's like, how dumb are you? Do you remember the World Series the other year? These guys are New York guys. You must have noticed the other year when right before Dodgers Yankees, the two players who faced against each other, God, I cannot think of the Dodgers player right now. It was the opening night of the. Not to mention, God, hold on. Why can I not think of his name right now? Dodgers pitcher who died just before the start of the 120th World Series. I cannot believe I can't think of his name right now. Spacing it. Fernando Valenzuela. Fernando Valenzuela drops dead, and then Rudy May drops dead. And these two guys pitched against each other the last time the Dodgers and Yankees had played in the World Series. They literally pitched against each other the last time these teams met in the World Series. And then they both dropped dead right before the game. And then they used Fernando Valenzuela for rituals 2 years in a row. The Dodgers also won the World Series last year on his birthday. And here, check this out. Let me pull up Fernando Valenzuela. Where's he at? Let me pull up his full name. I want you guys to see what they did last year. When the Dodgers won the 121st World Series, they won it on his birthday anniversary, November 1st. And you see how his full name equals 106? Dodgers won the World Series last year on his birthday with their 106th win of the season. And don't forget the year before that, it paid tribute to history. Los Angeles 109, Yankees 109, shooting 109. All three of the last times a president was shot, the World Series was the Yankees and the Dodgers beat the Yankees every time. And it was 109 days after Trump supposedly got shot outside of Butler, PA, that the Dodgers won the World Series 109 days later with their 109th win. It's just unbelievable that people would sit around and mock the idea that people are being sacrificed for sports. It wasn't just Fernando Valenzuela who died. A major prominent DJ in New York died who was known for always wearing a Yankees fitted, and probably 50 other people that I forgot. That's the thing. It's hard to remember it all, but every year we're showing you, okay, here's another sports championship and here's another pile of bodies. Day after day, year after year, and you got rooms of men sitting around laughing like, all right, sacrifice one for us. Hey, they did. How much you want to bet not a single guy in this room caught on to any of it? It all went over their head. The exact script, the 99 finals just in reverse. Again, in 99, Spurs won game 1 and 2, lost game 3 and 1, games 4 and 5. Knicks do the exact opposite 27 years later. Not to mention, again, go back and look. 99 finals, Spurs won by 12. What did the Knicks do in this year's finals? They won their 12th straight. In game 2, Spurs won by 13. What did the Knicks do this year? They won their 13th straight. And go back and look here, 1999 NBA finals. Look at the score of game 2, 67-80. 67-80. This was the 80th season. This time around, the Knicks, as they won 13 straight, they got their 67th win of the year. And don't forget everything else we pointed out. I mean, we got onto the Knicks. The Knicks weren't who we were thinking before the season. Overlooked the Willis Reed, how that would connect with the season. You know, that thing was forgotten because it happened a couple years earlier. But we saw in the playoffs, we said, well, wait a minute. If the Knicks do this and this and this and this, they're going to end up 214 and 214 on the Church of Satan's birthday, which is now headquartered in New York. That's exactly what the Knicks did, you guys. And the reason that made sense is because it was the 80th season. And don't forget it, the Church of Satan turned 60. Ref 60 was working the game. The Knicks were up 60 points. They actually got up to plus 61. How often do you see a team up 60 points in a basketball game? Talk about a script. But also literally paying tribute to Satan and the Church of Satan as they sacrifice people left and right. And you got dum-dums in rooms like this laughing about the obvious. And it's not like this is some popular channel. This is a group of normal guys. 869 subscribers, hardly any views, but just average Americans. And this is what's wrong with the average American. Just brain dead, not catching on to the obvious, making fun of the truth. You know, big gut here, big gut there. The other two guys look like they might not be, but it's hard to see there in the back of the room. It's disgraceful, man. It's disgraceful. Ritual sacrifices go hand in hand with rig sports. They happen all the time. It is totally undeniable. And here, I'm going to drop the link. Get some other thoughts in here too. There's a million ritualistic deaths we could talk about over the years. I'm not going to sit here because it would be a 50 straight day live stream. But you guys can bring up great examples if you want to, or share things that maybe I forgot about or don't know about yet. I'm going to take a quick 30-second break and refill my water. We got the smoke back in the air out here, so my vocals feel a little bit rough. We got about a 1.5 day break from the smoke, but it's back. I'll be right back, True Seeker. 30-second break. All right, we got Ray in the back. Ray, I'm going to bring you on, but I realized as I stepped away that there was one thing I meant to cover that I forgot to cover, and it's just the wife of the defensive coordinator for the Falcons, you guys, the latest cancer death, supposedly. She died yesterday on a date with 83 numerology. Some people are going to die. I mean, there's people who died yesterday on the 83 date numerology, and it was their time to go, right? They didn't get murdered, so that's one piece. But we know murder equals 83 like football, like the song from 83 where killing's the sport of the elected. From the husband's birthday, notice he's born on the 48th day of the year. She's dead at 48. Atlanta equals 48. But from his birthday to her death, she died July 30th, 163 days later, the 38th prime. When did we just talk about how often 163 and 38 come together? With all the deaths on July 21st, the day leaving 163 days left in the year, which included the Jordan Davey NFL player who played in Super Bowl 49, which is going to be the rematch of Super Bowl 60, which is going to be the NFL season opener. But he died on the day leaving 163 days left in the year at age 38. They said he took his own life, which I doubt. Every year on July 21st, again, I remember it because it's my birthday. It stands out every year. There's just all these deaths. But here, from his birthday now to her death, 163 days, the 38th prime. And for the people who are hearing impaired who didn't hear that right because they don't listen very carefully, might be going, what? July 21st? Yeah, July 21st leaves 163 days left in the year. The same pattern happens every year on that day. And now you see it again here 9 days later, with a woman dead 163 days after the husband's birthday, the 38th prime, when death, murder, killing, and RIP, as well as Falcons, all equal 38. And his name, Jeff Ulbrich, 197. That's the 45th prime. Funny enough, she died 45 days before their season opener. That's a high ritual number. And why does she get chosen for a sacrifice for the Falcons? Perhaps because her name literally equals Atlanta Falcons. And knowing these things can be very lucrative because if you guys were here the year that Philadelphia beat the Patriots in Super Bowl 52, I gave you guys the Super Bowl for free that year in week 3. I said why it looked like the Eagles would face the Patriots. The flag was 239 years old. Everything was about 239 that season, which is the 52nd prime. But in that playoff run, I said it's going to make so much sense if the Eagles, Philadelphia, the home of the flag, sewn at 239 Arch Street, I said it'll make so much sense if they end up facing the Falcons, the 239 team in their playoff run. Exactly what happened. So that meant in a certain round, this team had to win the Falcons, and this team, the Eagles, had to win so they could face each other. So again, the power of this knowledge. But you know, here it is now all these years later. A woman whose name equals 239, who's the wife of the coordinator for the team, is just dead at 48 right before the season kicks off when Atlanta's 48. And again, like I said, his birthday is the 48th day of the year. Multi-million-dollar man couldn't save his wife from cancer. I just don't buy it. Again, wealthy people have access to cutting-edge treatment for cancer. They're super wealthy, flying into cities like Seattle that have some of the greatest cancer research and hospitals. But these celebrities, apparently they just don't do that. They choose to die instead. So anyway, yeah, and there'll be a million more stories like this. And like I always say, man, as sad as it is, I'm not even gonna remember this story in 3 weeks. Someone will probably call in about it. I'll be like, let me look if I covered it. I can't even remember. But yeah, same patterns, same numbers all day, every day. So, all right, let's pull up Ray. And then we got Richard. What's up, Ray?
What's up, Zach? Hope everything's well, man. Wanted to answer the question of the video. Is Larry Johnson correct? Should we boycott the NFL? My honest answer, Zach, is yes. I believe that, the society as a whole would benefit from sort of refocusing mental bandwidth and also just overall energy towards more productive things. But we both know that's never going to happen. And you could see people in that video, that clip that you played of people making fun of this notion that, oh, it's controlled or contrived or the elites, just kind of joking, like mocking, making a mockery of the whole notion that it can be rigged, or there can be winners and losers being picked on the back end of things. You see those people have an inherent investment, sort of, sometimes it's financial, sometimes it's just social, and some people make it their identity. Their sports team is their identity, and they have everything sort of focused on that, like around their houses, and nothing but the sports leagues or the college ball that they used to, you know what I mean? So it's like their whole entire sort of paradigm is that. So these people will never want to even listen, even to a guy that was in the inside, explaining from the inside things that he saw, things that he experienced himself, not some third party. This is things that he is explaining to people that happened to him, and now with more knowledge on the, obviously in hindsight, with the knowledge, he can go, wow, look at that. It all lines up to how they like to play the game. So we can sit here and just kind of see that is what I said the other time, is these people are energy vampires, right? This is what they want. They love the bread and circus. They love that focus. It's something about that focus, Zach, that they love. You know what I mean? When there's millions of eyes, that's why they track that. Like millions of people tuning in. Somehow they're able to harvest that and do whatever they do with it on the ritual side, on the deeper side, and then these numbers like amplify that. And you can just see that, ever since 2020, I feel like it's just gone into like hyperdrive. You know what I mean? There's a malaise in people, and there's just this almost disconnect at times with people that you used to know. And it's like, what is going on? And people are starting to feel very fatigued. I don't know if you're experiencing this with people that you know personally, but me personally, I know people that are becoming very fatigued. People that were very lively and full of energy are becoming very fatigued, almost like their life force is being sucked out of them slowly through, and it's not like an age thing, because they're still, in an age range where you see some people full of energy and full of life. But I feel like they're using sports, entertainment, media as a way to harvest our focus and our energy. And Larry Johnson is just pointing that out, that it comes with the even more scary part, which is actual humans being sacrificed and possible family members that have nothing to do with it getting that backlash emotionally from having people that they love being murdered by just people that couldn't give two craps about them or their family. So yes, we should all boycott all sports, but we both know that will never happen. But I wish it would, because if we like, for example, like you have focused on this for over a decade now, and look how much good has come out of it. obviously a lot of hate because everything in life is like a duopoly. You know what I mean? There's good and there's evil, and so you brought a lot of good into the world, but that drudged up a lot of people that wanted to hate on you and just slander you. You're like a radio host. You're on live. You're on the mic so many hours a week that they can nitpick and cherry pick things out to just make you sound like this person. That's exactly what they do, and just shows that it's an effort to attack your voice and attack specifically where you're putting your time and your energy, because you are making a difference. And obviously some people say, oh well, sports betting, this, that, and well, that changes lives and people can get out of the 9-5 a rut and be able to buy a little bit of better groceries, especially now with all the pricing going up. They can actually eat. But at the end of the day, they attack anybody that's putting their energy and efforts behind something that they don't want it to be. And you can see that when you're talking to somebody that's totally captured, when you speak out of character in terms of what they perceived as what you're supposed to be. Meaning if you're not talking about music, movies, sports, or some sort of gossip of the internet, you're looked at as an insane person. You're looked at as a freak and just somebody to be ostracized from the group and just almost like a pariah, left out and just kicked out. So I hope people truly understand that it's all about energy and focus, and continue to focus on defeating the chains and trying to help those who are ready to be helped, because some people are just not ready to be helped, and it's unfortunate, but it is what it is.
I got myself muted. Sorry. I was saying, yeah, very well said. I appreciate it. Was there any other ideas you want to throw out there before you go, Ray?
No, that was it, man. I appreciate your time, and I hope you have a great rest of your day.
Yeah, you too, man. Thanks. All right, and I did mean to talk more about Michael K. Williams since Larry Johnson brought that up. I mean, I've covered it a ton in the past. There was a lot to it. And also Mr. Dane's death earlier this year that was perfectly synced with the new season of Euphoria, which he's also remembered for, and the Seahawks Super Bowl, since he made his name in TV with the Seattle-based hospital show. Let's get Richard in here first. We got Marco. We got Clint. I'm going to let Clint go before Marco. We all know why. Marco's always got a lot to say. But yeah, we'll cover other things too. What's up, Richard?
Oh, what's up?
Yeah, how you doing, man?
Doing pretty good. That friend, DJ, man. I don't know if you did. Oh, I looked at it real quick. That song that he's most known for, it came out.
You're breaking up a little bit today. Hold on. Maybe it's because my. Hold on, Richard. I think it's because I think if I mute my mic, you're going to sound more clear. I hate this new glitch. I don't know what's up with this. But if you just want to start over, go ahead and.
All right. Well, anyway, I want to say that French DJ that you brought up at the beginning, his song was not mentioned, but it was in a movie called Drive from 2011, and the movie came out on September 16th, and he died 50 days from the anniversary of that movie coming out. That's all I really had to say.
Well, that was short and sweet. Yeah, there's always more to it. So the 50 next with his artist name, his birth name, and the movie his song is connected to. Perfect.
Yep.
All right, thanks, Richard.
Yep.
Yeah, I have to mute myself now when the guests speak. I don't know. It's something that StreamYard tweaked, because now they got rid of the glitch that's been there for over a year. But maybe when they did that update, it created another problem. I don't know why this is so difficult. What's up, Clint?
What's up? How you doing?
I'm doing all right. I'm going to mute myself, though, so it doesn't interfere with your sound.
Okay. Yeah, I feel like we definitely should boycott sports leagues and stuff like that. Shoot, after since Kobe died and I found your work, I just knew like you was too accurate to like for this all to be a coincidence. And yeah, I definitely feel like it got something to do with like energy harvesting and stuff like that, because I'm not invested in, like, I never really was, like, growing up I liked sports and stuff like that. I played it, but I never was really like a hardcore sports fans, but like growing up, I seen that my uncles and them was, and even when they kids play now, like they really, really invested in the game. So like when the little league, when they games over, they be mad about that shit. Like if they lost or anything like that. And I know ain't no rituals and nothing going on behind that, but I'm just saying like the way, like I don't feel like nobody should let anything really control their emotions that much to the point where you go like it could just fuck your day up for one. And then for two, I just feel like people is too focused on that and not focused enough on their own life. Like I admire you a lot because I feel like the strongest man in the land is the one that wake up and ain't gotta ask nobody for nothing. And the fact that you wake up and do your thing, take care of your family, all of like how you all of you doing this and the other things is just is great to me and it's inspiring to me. Like you don't need to go with the regular like American type of thing, like the American way of living. Like you can like be good out here and live a good life, you know. But yeah, I definitely think people should stop paying so much attention to sports. Like we shouldn't uh, that should be a thing of the past. And honestly, I feel like they making it more obvious now for it being scripted and stuff like that. Because come on, Kobe and LeBron. LeBron passed him in scoring. Next day he died. All the crazy, like just the stuff that's right in plain sight. It don't even got to be the numbers and stuff like that. It's just the stuff that's happening in plain sight. And then people every time, like every single time, the playoffs, the new season start, all that type of stuff, people dying related to this stuff. And I know people die every day. It's not nothing new. I'm just saying, like, it's too close to like the teams that be playing and all that type of stuff. So yeah, I'm on board with Larry Johnson. I feel like the fact that he's somebody that used to play in the league and got some actual insight on what's going on in the league, people should take to that more. But like the last caller before Richard came on and said people got their life like really invested into this. Like you go to people cribs, they got whole Red Wings, Pistons, Bulls, memorabilia everywhere. Like genuinely like season tickets and everything invested into these games. And it's real hard to pull them away from that. But true, it ain't hard. I don't think it's hard when you realize like people really losing their life behind this stuff and it's not really doing nothing for nobody. Like me watching somebody dribble up.
Clint, I just got to jump in on that part too. Exactly. People are spending so much time on the couch. They could be using that time to develop a skill, take care of their body, get in better shape, learn something. Again, we are investing so much time and energy into being spectators. In what world? I understand we all want to be entertained and have fun, but in what world were any of us taught as young people that, yeah, you should spend your time on your ass watching other men do something? I mean, please.
Yeah, I definitely don't agree with that. I don't even think I'm gonna be the type of person to give my daughter an allowance. Like I would rather her put her mind towards something else than just working for basically like training her to work for a paycheck. So when that time comes, I'll cross that bridge. But yeah, definitely not just I can't sit up there and just watch somebody. Now I probably give it a little bit of my time, but I can't sit up there and just watch somebody play this game, run up and down the court all day, and I'm not getting nothing out of it for real, for real. And what made me really focus like more on my growth is having a child. Like I don't see how people with kids just sit up there and man, your kid can't read for real, but you sitting up here watching sports. Like what? Make this make sense. But then when they go to school and their grades bad, you mad about it. Help them out. Like do something about that shit. It's like they have you for a reason. And if you just had a kid to not teach them nothing. That's sad for real. So yeah, I definitely don't agree with it. Feel like we should definitely boycott it. As far as me, I don't bet I want to, but I really don't care for it like that. I got too much going on. So yeah, that's all I got on the situation for real.
Appreciate it, Clint. Thank you
Yes,
very
sir,
much. And yeah, again, you guys, part of how I became free was by getting fed up. If you guys don't know my story, I used to teach in public school. I love working with kids. I'd still be in the public school if the system wasn't so messed up. They don't want good teachers. I tried out a private school for a year after jumping out of public school. And the private school, you know, the people that own the private school saw me as they told me as the future head of the school. So they had me wearing multiple hats and doing a million different things and really just grind. I mean, you guys see the way I grind. I've pretty much always been a grinder. You know, I work hard at no matter what I do. But I was working 7 days a week there, doing all this stuff behind the scenes, you know, helping out in the classroom, helping out with the administration, helping create new extracurricular activities. Uh, just just so many things for them. And they told me that, you know, if I performed up to what they expected, I would get a significant pay raise for the time invested because they paid even worse than the public school system. That was one of the trade-offs. Like, I'm going to try this out, but it's even worse than public school pay, which is already bad enough. And, you know, they were super happy with my performance and everything I did. And I had figured out ways to help them make even more money. It would have been so easy for them to give me a raise and follow through with what they said, but they didn't. And then they showed that they had no intention of giving me even an extra dime, even though I had done all this for them. And you guys understand, I created study groups for them. This is a private school with super wealthy parents. I created study groups that didn't exist, extracurricular activities. I probably helped the school make a $500,000 extra that year. Okay. And I was getting paid $35,000 a year. Now they told me they'd give me a major raise up to $80,000 if I did everything they wanted, which I did and beyond. But then they showed they had no intention. So what I did is I didn't even finish out that school year. I quit, and parents were like, "What happened, man?" Because you know, I was the talk of the town at that school, just doing a million different things for them. So, and I left a really negative review on Google about how horrible the people were at the top. One of the teachers told me when it happened, he said, "You know, you're not the first person they've done that to." They paid Google to have the review taken off their school, but people should know how horrible those people were. And they came from some Japanese royalty, just for the record, the people that ran this school. They weren't like ordinary citizens. But the point was, I just said, you know what? I'm never working for anybody again. I mean, these people are horrible. I helped them make all this extra money. I've been working my ass off 7 days a week, doing all this stuff for them. And then they couldn't follow through with the thing that they set up in the beginning. No, these are, and that's why super wealthy and rich people are the way they are, because they're just corrupt as hell. They just use people, they abuse people, they lie to them, they manipulate them. And here's how bad they were. When I would set up these activities for them, there was supposed to be a study guide to order from, say, Kaplan or whatever, right? What they would do is they would order one, and then they would have me do a gazillion photocopies because they only wanted to pay for one book. And that's how cheap they were. It's like you're charging $2,000 for this course, and you can't just order the $60 book that goes with it for each student. You want to photocopy it, so it only costs you $2 instead of $60. Just cheap type people. But anyway, I never worked for anybody after that. That's what I said. I said, I'm done. I said, I'm not working for anybody else. It was 2012, and you know, they had just legalized the green ganja up here, and I set up a medical delivery service, and I just went to work for myself. And that was going great until my house got burglarized and sabotaged, which was partly my fault. You know, I trusted somebody too much and probably should have had way better security. But it just got me out of ever working for anybody again. And I said, yeah, that's why you shouldn't work for people. I mean, the reason somebody hires you to work for them is because you're generating wealth for them. They can pay you, but you're still generating more wealth for them, which means your labor is generating wealth that you don't get, somebody else gets. So everybody should get the mindset to work for themselves. All right, let me go out to Eli. Eli, I'm going to mute myself once you come on, just so it doesn't mess up your audio. It's the new glitch over here. Welcome to the show, Eli.
Hey, I'm that kid from Austin Metcalf School.
Welcome back, Eli. Good to hear from you.
Yeah, I just wanted to give you and the chat an update. You know, I was showing my family and friends your channel and the information you did on the stabbing. I had mixed results. Some people were quick to dismiss it. Other people were very interested. The main point I was trying to, drive home to them is that stabbings happen every day in America. There's a reason why this specific stabbing, is in the national news, is to racially divide people and for it to be some sort of ritual for Carmelo Anthony, the NBA player. So, in terms of the information I found, I did talk to some people. The first thing I learned was this was a selective track meet. What I mean by that is that our school's track coach picked out the players to compete at this specific event. So the whole track team was not there that day. So I asked them, do you know anyone who was under the tent or near the tent? And credit to them, they did give me some names. About a week later, I was at the gym and I ran into someone who I was told allegedly was under the tent. And, I didn't want to be confrontational, so I played dumb. I brought up the topic, and then right away he was like, I signed an NDA, I can't really talk about it. Which makes no sense to me. Like, if you witness a crime, why can't you talk about it, The last piece of information I got, I was able to talk to one of Austin's close friends, and he told me the summer before this happened, Austin and his family went on a month-long vacation in Alaska. And when he was in Alaska, he had no contact with anybody in Texas. And when he got back, this friend said that he was acting all anxious and he developed a bit of a bad temper. So one question I have is, what actually happened in Alaska, if he went to Alaska at all? But yeah, that's the information I got.
Well, Eli, I really appreciate it. I think for anybody with a thinking mind who's listening would have the exact same questions and now suspicions as you. Yeah, why did they need to sign an NDA? Did they get paid and told that they can't say anything? That's kind of been a working theory around here with all these psychological operations that amount to obvious ritualism that somehow most people overlook. Yeah, NDA. That says a lot right there. And yeah, what was going on the month? So that he was in Alaska right before he came back, and all this happened. Is that what I'm hearing?
Yeah, the summer before it happened, so a few months before. But
do you know anybody that can confirm that he actually died?
I cannot.
He could be living in Alaska, you guys. I mean, that could have been, but witness protection's a real thing. Alaska's pretty remote, huge area, small population. The world's a big place.
I was thinking the same thing, actually. It's like he's probably he probably cut his hair and, living with the bears,
The world's a big place, and that story doesn't make any sense. I don't know if you were here when I did the video asking ChatGPT what the odds are of two top stories in the same day being about a person named Carmelo, and it gave us something like 1 in 650,000 odds, and that didn't even count that they had the same last name, Anthony. It's just because the name Carmelo's so rare.
Yeah, that's what really got me interested in what you were, teaching your community about. It's like the odds are close to impossible.
Day after day, these nearly impossible coincidences that just keep happening. Hey, Eli, I've been doing this for almost 13 years. It will be next month. Your call right now, I'd rank in the top 5 greatest calls because it reveals something that needs to be revealed. I wish there were more people like you in the world.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. I'm still learning.
All right, Eli, you're the man. You guys, if somebody can cut that, Eli, or Eli, do you mind if this clip's put out there on the internet? Are you calling in, or would you rather not have that happen?
I don't mind.
Okay, he doesn't mind. He's a brave man. Yeah, that clip needs to be out there, you guys. And we need more people on the ground from the school to speak out. And you know what? We have Slick Nick in this community who was at Stoneman Douglas when that shooting happened. And he didn't have any proof that anything happened either. He hung around the community for all these years later. That was 2018. So appreciate it, Eli. MVP call.
All right. Take care.
All right. Yeah, you too, man. All right. Let's bring Marco up. We haven't heard from Marco for almost a week. I'm going to mute Marco so it doesn't interfere with your audio because that's the new problem over here. But you got the floor.
Oh, well, thanks for having me back on. And I must say, when it came to that clip, after you played it, I went ahead and I went to Instagram and I downloaded it from one of these downloaders that are available online. You know why, though? I wanted to tell your audience when stuff like this hits.
Hold on, Marco. Hold on. Before you go, I do want to hear. I just realized that somehow our viewer count is supposedly way up again. I'm super suspicious of the viewer count because the last time we had a big viewer count like this, when the stream ended, we had 5,000 people watching, but then when the stream ended, it said we only had 1.9K views, and it took like a week for the video to crawl up to 5K views. Right now, it says we have over 6,300 people watching. If you guys got here just now somehow, some way this stream's getting out there, maybe Larry Johnson shared it on his channel. I don't know, because he has a big following now. If you guys got here late, rewind to the beginning and listen to what I said, because now we're taking calls, and I don't know if Marco's actually going to talk about the topic, but Marco is always interesting. I realize if you're new here, what Marco's about to say, I'm probably not going to endorse all the way, but it's always interesting. But yeah, we were talking about how ritual sacrifice is a very real thing in the world of sports, and you have to be literally deaf, dumb, and blind to not see it. Literally, you have to be deaf, dumb, and blind to not see it. And if people really are being sacrificed, which I'd wager my entire wealth they are based on what we share day after day, week after week, year after year, should we really be watching and supporting and financially investing in leagues that kill people? And if you're out there going, well, why do they kill people? Hey, go back to your slave school days where you learned that the Mayans, they taught this in slave school. I was in slave school in the 80s and 90s and the early 2000s. I graduated class of 2001 from high school. But they would teach us back then about how the Mayans would put on sports and entertainment for the king, and then they would sacrifice human beings for the king at those same events, because it was all just part of the spiritual custom. And just like how it wasn't clear to us then, but we were told that was happening, it's clear that that is going on now, but still, why? Does this give them some kind of power? Is it just some false belief system that they just fulfill anyway? Like a lot of people have false belief systems that they fulfill. Anyway, this seriously needs to be looked at and taken into consideration. And again, I was playing a clip earlier of people making fun of Larry Johnson from a few years ago as Knicks fans saying, hey, we need a ritual sacrifice so the Knicks can win a championship. And ironically, not long after that video was updated, Willis Reed died at 80 on the 80th day of the year before the Knicks would go on a couple years later to win the 80th NBA Finals. Again, led by Brunson, who won the 80th March Madness as well in San Antonio, also where he won the 80th NBA Finals. And once again, you guys can all look up the day Willis Reed died. The Spurs fell to 19-53 on the day Willis Reed died. Spurs would give the Knicks their first championship in 53 years. The same day. And again, I just got to put, I mean, how obvious is this, you guys? If you missed my work on this man's death, before they even gave us this detail, I said he was an obvious sacrifice for the NBA Finals. Aldon Smith, number 99 in the NFL, dies on the day of the last game of the repeat of the 99 Finals. But then the next day after it's reported he's dead, they got to tell you he was wearing a Willis Reed number 19 jersey. I mean, come on, you guys. This stuff is sick. It's sick. And they had to tell you he was giving out pizzas. I mean, who are these guys that were with him? Who are these guys? Is this what it looks like? Who employs these people to go out and put poison in Willis Reed's food or his drink? Or excuse me, I said Willis Reed, but Aldon Smith. It's obvious this is going on. And you got to be so deaf, dumb, and blind. Who the hell wears a Willis Reed jersey? Like I said the day this happened, I said, has anybody even seen a Willis Reed jersey in their life? Willis Reed played in a time where men didn't wear basketball jerseys. Willis Reed won the championship 50 years ago. It's not a popular jersey, but Aldon Smith just happens to be rocking it and found dead in it on the last day as the Knicks close out the Spurs in the ultimate 53 ritual. And just things like Rick Adelman, too. Rick Adelman dropped dead right as the finals kicked off, and his 53rd birthday was literally the day of game one of the 99 finals between the same two teams, which is the 53rd season. And Red Holzman died in that season. I mean, if you have not seen this list compiled here of all the 53 stuff with the finals, come take a look and then tell me it's a coincidence. And again, this is one of a million examples. One of a million. So, all right. I just had to get that out there if we really got all these people watching. But yeah, I would rewind this stream and watch the beginning Or if you guys want to hear a really interesting call that maybe will resonate with you, maybe not, I'm going to give Marco the floor. All right, Marco, you got over 6,000 people watching this.
Yo, big ups. Thanks, Zach. I doubt that, man. They like messing with you with these streams because all of a sudden, like you said.
What is this? Seriously, I'm doubting it too because we saw this the other day, over 5K views, but then it's over and it says 1.9K views. Like, what's going on? I mean,
man. They're messing with you, man. They're messing with you. But nevertheless, if there are, because like you said, that gentleman that you featured on the thumbnail and also on the headline here on the actual name of the video, he could have got whiff of this. Someone could have got, the point is this, man. I want to tell your audience, when stuff like this comes up, y'all need to go on and download it because you never know what might happen to these people for speaking out like they're doing, because that's pretty rare that you will see someone from the other side, from the inside, revealing this level of stuff. Because look, one of the things that I've told you before, what you decode and what a lot of people decode on a day-to-day basis is it's in the Bible. It's called the Devil's Mystery of Iniquity program. He has a program. He is the God of this world. This is a present evil world. It's on a course to the kingdom of the beast, the new world order, all by his mystery of iniquity. And in 2 Thessalonians, it says, for the mystery of iniquity doth already work, since Paul wrote that 2,000 years ago. Only he who now letteth will let until he be taken out of the way. But the reason why I wanted to bring this to your attention is like, I've already downloaded that clip because this is a good clip to have along with your work. So you're decoding how they're doing it with the Devil's Mystery of Iniquity on a day-to-day basis, all by the numbers with gematria, with date numerology. But then what you could help people.
Hold on, Marco. Are you saying you downloaded the clip of the guy who just
man.
high school?
Yes.
Wow.
No, not the high school, not the high school. I'm talking about the NFL player.
Oh, if you've never listened to my interview with him, you can go to his Instagram. He's posting videos like that all the time. I also did this interview with him. Isn't it funny? That interview was actually 4 days before Kobe died, the day we talked to Larry Johnson. How weird is that?
Oh, man.
So, yeah, this interview is still up on Gematria Effect Sports. And if you guys listen to this, you'll see that Larry Johnson's a lot more forthcoming now than he was in that interview. He definitely held back on some things that I asked him. I'll look into doing another follow-up interview with Larry Johnson. He's obviously a lot more comfortable about speaking out about certain things than he was when I interviewed him. So it might be interesting for you guys to go back and listen to this in light of the types of things Larry says today. Go ahead, Marco.
And like you said, I was completely unaware of that, Zach. So I would definitely take a look at that because the other thing that you want to maybe take note of now, actually, don't forget to mute because I'm hearing the feedback as well now. It's kind of weird.
All right.
Okay, cool. But I was going to mention, in regards to that particular expose that he just did recently, definitely take time to download it. What you may want to start to monitor now is like if he does come back on, just try to see. I mean, they're probably going to ostracize him even more. At this point in time, like he probably just by him coming on with you initially is probably ostracizing him because, like I said, man, a lot of this stuff, this all goes back to those Masonic lodges, the So Motive B crowd. Because they do all this stuff in the dark and in Ephesians. It's funny that Larry quotes from Ephesians, but I've also hinted at that from Ephesians 5:12, where it says, for it is a shame even to speak of those things which are done of them, the workers of iniquity, in secret. Because at these Masonic lodges is where they'll take these oaths. And these are legitimate oaths. These are blood oaths that if you ever go against this oath and reveal these secrets that you're being exposed to in the lodge, they're bloody. They're not talking about just you being sacrificed. They're talking about your family and all that stuff. So people need to be aware of the mystery of iniquity. It's pretty much on Operation Warp Speed to the end, as I say. But it is interesting that Larry, on that last little video there, he did quote from Ephesians 6:12, where it says, for we wrestle not against flesh and blood. He understands that at a certain point, I remember hearing one of these rappers from 3-6 Mafia say that, you know what, man, we were all about it. We called ourselves 3-6 Mafia. We know about the devil. And it's like when you make a deal with him, he'll just show up. He'll just show you. Mess around, you F around, you're going to find out. And he'll just show up. And the idea is that these people at a certain point, they understand. It's not faith anymore with these people. Faith is something that takes you not seeing somebody. In this case, when they summon up these devils, when they deal with these devils, they see them. This is not like, it doesn't take any faith for these people once they see these creatures, these angelic hosts. And in like Larry, he's quoting from it, but it shows you the level of principle of the order of hierarchy with the devil. He runs a very tight ship. Satan is the god of this world. He has princes under him. He has angels under him. It's a very tight ship with the devil. And then obviously he has his temporal hierarchy. And like I told you recently, Arturo Sosa, by the way, happy Ignatius Day. Arturo Sosa is in Indonesia right now. But another thing that I heard Arturo Sosa recently mention is he yet again highlighted to a group of Jesuits saying that you are only the future of the society. You are not the, you are only the present, he said. Sorry. He said, you are only the present. You are not the future. And that kind of goes in line yet again with another thing that he mentioned recently that I truly believe. Arturo Sosa knows what time it is. He just recently has been talking about the end of the world. He was just in Jerusalem. They're getting ready to build the third temple. And you could see, man, they're rowing into the deep. That is the motto that they've had since they elected Arturo Sosa. And when I tell my audience about that on the Watchman Report, when I hear rowing into the deep, I understand what they mean by deep. That is the end of the world. And they're about to start it by way of, like I've said, Donald Trump is trying to push the Abraham Accords with Saudi Arabia. I'm telling you, the beast is MBS. But right now, there's a lot of other stuff that, because of also Ignatius Day, is really moving right now also on the military front. This could have been easy for anybody to predict at this point, but it was just announced on Wall Street Journal that Donald Trump is about to hit Iran very hard right now. If you know it's Ignatius Day, it should make sense. But the other thing is they're trying to make the beast comfortable enough to do the deal with Israel.
Hold on, Marco. Let's pause that it's Ignatius Day, and don't lose your train of thought because I want you to come back to it. But I just want to make a few points, guys. Ignatius Loyola, this is his death anniversary. It's his feast date. We always talk about the Jesuits. In Gematria, Jesuit equals 21. Remember, the first Jesuit Pope, Pope Francis, was born on Saturnalia. Saturn equals 21 like Jesuit. Nike, their symbol is a swoosh, a ring of Saturn. Nike equals 21, as does Spurs for the record. And today just happens to have 21 date numerology. Look at Wembanyama, who comes from Paris, France, where Ignatius Loyola created the Jesuits. So here we are on this very special day to the Jesuit history, and the Frenchie is signing his deal with Nike. I'm just trying to show you how all of these pieces intersect, but then also how the Gematria piece really ties it together. Today has 21 date numerology. Again, Nike equals 21, Saturn 21. Their symbols, they're part of a ring of Saturn. And for the record, if you had 1 through 6 together, it equals 21. Saturn is the 6th planet. But again, Spurs, Nike, Saturn, Jesuit. Today's one of their biggest days on the calendar year. And I forgot to bring this up. Nancy Guthrie is a top story today, you guys. They released the kidnapping notes today. And remember, Savannah, the mom, went to Jesuit Georgetown. So on this, I told you from the beginning, this had the Jesuit fingerprints all over it. Today's date numerology pass are 84 the big way and 21 the small way. And if you're asking, well, how do you get these different numbers? Today's July 31st, 2026. 7 plus 31 plus 20 plus 26 is 84. If you just add it all digit for digit, 7 plus 3 plus 1 plus 2 plus 0 plus 2 plus 6, it's 21. So these are the date numerologies today. Remember, this woman was 84 years old and disappeared from Arizona, 84. And her daughter went to Jesuit Georgetown, and her name is Savannah Guthrie, which is also 84. And you might recall it was perfectly synced with the Superior General 84. Again, Jesuit is 84. The Jesuit Order is 84. They're the military order of the Catholic Church, 84. Big time number 84. But think about how perfect this is. We said from the beginning, this had the Jesuit fingerprints all over it. From day one, we showed how it was synced with the Superior General. We said it was about the March Madness tournament. Remember what day Savannah went back to today? She went back on the day that the March Madness tournament ended. And there was a lot more to it as well. Just the scores, the Arizona's box scores synced up with their disappearance. It was 84 galore. But now on this very Jesuit day, on 84 date numerology, they got to bring her back in the headlines. And we all know we haven't seen her in the headlines for months, right? The story just disappeared. But it comes back on Ignatius of Loyola's death anniversary, a story that alludes to death. That's the other point we're always making. And that's the thing we need to get Larry Johnson on. You know, Larry Johnson learned from us, but I've been paying attention over here. Larry's still talking about the other J's. I don't hear Larry talking about the Jesuits very much. So we need to meet up with dear Larry and say, Larry, listen, man, we got to get it all the way right. Instead of talking about the middle managers all the time, the other J's, we need to start talking about these Jesuits. because that's who's running it, you guys. We're on their calendar. We're speaking their language that they standardized at the same minute they rolled out the calendar. Again, just the world of professional sports, collegiate sport. I mean, the head of the Arizona basketball team, Jesuit educated, used to be the assistant coach at Gonzaga, another Jesuit university. But yeah, it's just, and by the way, Savannah's 54 right now, which makes perfect sense with the Jesuit ritual because Georgetown, where she went to school, was founded by a 54-year-old John Carroll. And don't forget, the Jesuit headquarters is the Church of the Jesu, Building 54. Jesuit Order 54, like John Carroll. Big time numbers, 54 and 84. And the thing that's annoying when you're talking to the normals is like, oh, so 54 matters too. And you're like, yeah, it does. Listen and pay attention. I'm going to pass the mic back. But yeah, I do appreciate you bringing up that it is Ignatius of Loyola death anniversary day, feast day. That's why Nancy's front and center today. Go ahead, Marco.
Yeah, no, thank you for that, Zach. And in regards to Ignatius Day, I was looking for any sort of big Vatican news, and today, for what it's worth, the Pope signed a new fundamental law of the Vatican City State today on Ignatius Day, and they even made mention of that on Vatican News. And to your audience that may not know, the Vatican is Revelation 17, and the woman which thou sawest is that great city which reigneth over the kings of the earth. She does it with her Vatican power structure, with the Vatican Jesuit militia that reigns over all the great papal knighthoods of Revelation 18, the great men of the earth, and also rules over all masonry. Like I said before, the number one thing that your audience needs to get, that you've also been adding to your repertoire, that I've tried to make sure we highlight this. The Roman numerals for 9/11 are IXXI, and it is on the main mother church of Mary, which is really Mother Babylon in Rome. And 9/11 all goes back to Mother Babylon. It all goes back to the rings that the Jesuits used to they used to wear rings with 9/11, the Roman numerals, and it all looks like a freaking square and compass between two pillars that masonry is all about. So with the IXXI, you can sum it all up with, it all goes back to Mystery Babylon the Great, the mother of harlots and abominations of the earth. It is a city today, and it's on 7 mountains. So the Vatican, your audience needs to understand, in Revelation 17, it is vividly portrayed in the Word of God that this city is on 7 mountains, the ancient 7 mountains of Rome, arrayed in purple and scarlet for the bishops and the cardinals, and full of names of blasphemy like Holy Father. And this person that they call the Holy Father, which is, we got Bob the Blasphemer, I call him. He signed a new law today, and like I said, they made it very blatant that, oh, it's on Ignatius's day. Huh? Oh, interesting. You have to just throw that in there. I almost forgot. Then I read that article. I was like, oh, I forgot. Here we are. It's Ignatius Day today. But they also reminded me that they have one particular building that's very well known throughout all the world with one word, the government. And that is the actual building within the Vatican City walls with Mother Babylon on top, which people call Mother Mary, but it's really Mother Babylon. And this is the headquarters for the government of the Vatican, the Holy See. That is how the Vatican reigns over the earth. It's not just a small city state. It's represented by many churches all around the world with the Holy See that all report back to that government. All right, that's how she reigns. This freaking whore. The Bible calls it the whore of Revelation. But either way, I also wanted to add this. Speaking of which, another big number is 47. And they just had a 4.7 earthquake in Naples, Italy today. I was like, really? That's kind of interesting. But the other thing that I wanted to kind of finalize on was this. Like, when it comes to a lot of this sacrifice stuff, a lot of people need to understand why do they have to have sacrifice? Why does it require blood? Well, I also want to remind people, Satan counterfeits God. Before he fell as Lucifer, he said, I will be like the Most High. He wants to be like God. God required sacrifice to show us about his son coming up at the cross. But the devil, that's why he sacrifices, because for the life of the flesh is in the blood. And that's why it requires blood. But it also, like I said, no new thing under the sun, because in Isaiah 57, this is just one of the many different occasions where the word of God, it shows you that back in the days, we got during the time of Isaiah, before the Babylonian conquest here, it says, inflaming yourselves with idols under every green tree, slaying the children in the valleys under the clefts of the rocks. So the Lord knew what they were up to. They knew that they were sacrificing children under the clefts of the rocks, and also under every green tree as well, and some other citations. But the point is that this sacrifice stuff has been going on for quite some time, because the devil, he requires it. And it's like, with people, they'll tell you. There's certain people that have come on and they'll tell you, if you want to make it, if you really want to make it, it's going to require sacrifice. That's why even Kanye West recently has been coming out saying, yeah, I sacrificed my mom. Bruno sacrificed his mom, Bruno Mars, that is. He said Michael Jordan sacrificed his father. These people, they know about all this stuff. And it was kind of interesting to hear Kanye West actually vocalize it. Like, that's another good, every once in a while, Kanye West, even though he's kind of crazy, he'll still come out with truth. And recently, he also said, listen up, I included this particular clip from Kanye West in my film, Corona Rage. And in this particular clip, Kanye West, he's another guy. He'll just straight tell you. He's like, listen up, y'all. Listen up, listen up. He's like, record this. He's like, play it in schools. He's like, this is how the world works. He's like, God runs the world. And then under that, he says, are like the ancient bloodlines, like the Medicis. And then under that is the Vatican, the Pope. And I said, amen, look at that. Look at Kanye West pretty much telling you how it all goes down. And then he's like this. After that, you got all your financial institutions like BlackRock, Vanguard. And then you got all your politicians like Putin. And then you got all your Hollywood celebrities. And he's like, yeah, that's how the world works. So I was like, hey, kudos to Kanye West for speaking out on really how it all goes down. And like I said, that is all backed up by the scriptures. The woman which thou sawest is that great city of Revelation 17:18, which reigneth over the kings of the earth. But as I have told Zach, I mean, pretty soon, guys, we are this generation. We are going to see 10 kings that are going to make their way to then hate the whore, which is this city, and then burn it with fire. And it's coming, y'all. But, I did want to highlight that, Larry, he's on to something in the sense that, yes, Larry quoted the scripture for believers that says, for we wrestle not against flesh and blood. All right. So he understands. I don't know if he's a Mason. I don't know. I can't really tell if he's a Mason or whatnot. But at a certain point, you're going to, if in the Masonic Lodge.
Well, if you can take him at his word, he says he's not. He's explained how when, because Jay-Z signed him when he was in the NFL, and so he was throwing up the Jay-Z rock everywhere. Mm-hmm. And then he said he learned about how all that stuff was really Masonic, and it made him uncomfortable. But he said he didn't realize. He said he would just got, and he explains, he says he was paid $25,000 to just throw it up at games. So anyway, go ahead.
Yeah, no, and listen, we got people like Eric Trump recently throwing up that what everybody would think is The Rock. You would think he's a Jay-Z fan, but even when Trump was inaugurated on that 201 date last year, it got to the point where Eric Trump, and you're going to see this everywhere. This is freaking everywhere. That stupid ass Masonic equilateral triangle, and it's equilateral because it's got 60 degrees on each side for a 666 reference. But they're all about that. They're all about throwing it up. They like to do it inverted. Trump loves doing that crap. But I'm just telling you, recently I saw Eric Trump when during the inauguration, he was throwing it up so much you would think he's a Jay-Z fan. Even so much so that his wife next to him was like, hey, man, put that down, man. We don't need to be serving the devil right now. Calm down. But look, that's good. Larry understands that there really is what I call, look, we should start giving it what the name is, because I remember hearing even an African leader, I think the current leader of Ghana, I don't know if he still was but during the COVID epidemic, when it was starting to happen and some of these conspiracies were coming out, I remember the leader of Ghana, he actually called it what it is. He's like, man, this is some mystery of iniquity stuff right here. I said, amen. I don't hear that too often. That people need to understand that when these Masons are in the dark, when they're doing stuff in secret, when they're conspiring in the secret, like, that's all mystery of iniquity stuff. That's why it's called a mystery. It's of iniquity, of sin. They're up to no good, these people. And if you can't tell, we're up to something right now. I recently was on some other stream where they understood, with Operation Warp Speed, you see the cube. That's the cube of Remphan. That's a counterfeit of New Jerusalem. You see the cube on the Warp Speed logo. And they understand that we're headed to the Borg cube on Operation Warp Speed. I said, amen. Amen. They're taking them to the Borg cube. And also, this is speaking of Operation Warp Speed. You've covered the Spain thing.
Marco, I'll be right back. I just checked on my dark because I thought she fell back asleep, but now she's officially up. So keep going. I'll be right back.
Okay. What I did want to touch on is Spain for a little bit, because Spain, because of this recent ritual, when you see that migration crisis, the first thing that I thought about with Spain that I'm going to be covering today on the Watchman Report is this. I've been highlighting how the August 2nd eclipse next year looks to be the supernova date. It looks that we got the singularity Pope with the Pope Leo. We're going to be in this eclipse this year and next year under the zodiac astrological sign of Leo. But the one next year that I'm looking at is looking to be the big one. And this particular ritual that I was just seeing, that it involves Morocco, it touches on one of these things that has to do with the pillars of Hercules, which is on the two columns of the Spanish flag. And one of the pillars is Gibraltar. So if you start to see developments of this migrant crisis from Morocco going into Spain, specifically with Gibraltar, you really know that it is a straight up ritual about the eclipse next year, that it's going to make its landfall. The eclipse next year is actually going to have its landfall with the corona around the total solar eclipse. The stellar corona is going straight through the Strait of Gibraltar. And one of the pillars is Gibraltar with the big rock in Spain there on the south tip of Spain. But then the other one is Cuenca, which is all about it in the news right now. So what we're seeing right now is it's hinting at this event that also looks to be what I've been highlighting for years now. I mean, I'm talking about since 2023, I've been talking about this with like our film Corona Rage. But it looks like next year is going to be the supernova date. The COVID jab are all screwed and they're going to rage. And then I saw Elon Musk yesterday, absolute mockery, where Elon Musk was showing on it. I think it's still pinned on his X, right? If you go to his X profile, I think it's still pinned. But Elon Musk, he pinned a post saying that, oh, look at what's happening to the border of Spain. And he actually played a clip from World War Z. They're showing us what's coming, man. All right. And what I need to do here is, as a faithful ambassador, which is health in Christ's stead, is show you what a lot of people, especially in the Christian community, are not showing you. That this is all by the devil's mystery of iniquity for a purpose and intent to then force the world to the mark of the beast coming up. Because, like I've said, we are doing a lot of things rapidly right now. Because of Ignatius Day, we also have Donald Trump at Camp David. He just announced that he's about to strike Iran. That was highly predictable on Ignatius Day. But then he also announced that he has made an update to the Gaza peace plan with the Board of Peace, that he plans to disarm Hamas. But I can also see now Donald Trump is doing two things simultaneously to help get us to the tribulation with the beast Mohammed bin Salman joining the Abraham Accords. He is using the Saudi nuclear deal to have Mohammed bin Salman do the deal with Israel. He is the beast. He's going to confirm the covenant to fulfill Daniel 9:27. Don't forget, 9:27 is a Jesuit founding date, but that's also another date for when Prince Mohammed bin Salman of Saudi Arabia became the prime minister in 2022. But Donald Trump is using the Saudi nuclear deal to get the beast to do the deal with Israel. But then also, now I can see this. Now it's starting to come to the forefront here. Donald Trump is also using the Gaza war to then allow for a pathway to a Palestinian two-state solution. And that is a requirement from Saudi Arabia in order to make peace with Israel. So everything is moving now. So right now, when I get on the Watchman Report, remember, my name is Marco. I come from beingjustified.com. I have 3 weekly reports where we line up everything, what's happening in front of us, connect the dots, rightly divide as to how we're all, starting to fulfill some stuff here and get into the real tribulation. But you know what? We're going to be covering how there's a lot of moving pieces now. It was kind of quiet for a little bit, but ever since the Saudi nuclear deal was announced and then the Abraham Accords being tied to it, and now we got the Gaza war update with Hamas being disarmed, there's a lot of movement now. And I also hear that Bibi Netanyahu, it's now starting to come out that he said he wants another major victory before the elections coming up on October 27th of this year, which is Saudi normalization. So Marco, I said, man,
Marco, quick pause, because Evan wants to get in on the main topic, and then we'll continue the Marco sermon.
All right. Well, no, listen, Zach, I think I'm done. I'm done with that one. So I do appreciate you, and then I'll be heading over to the Watchman Report now, but I do appreciate the time.
Marco's message. Again, I can't endorse it all the way, but I appreciate the passion. His website is beingjustified.com. Easy. beingjustified.com. It's a nice website. He's got some great videos. Check it out.
All right. Thanks, Zach.
All right. Thanks, Marco.
Farewell.
What's up, Evan?
Yeah, so I heard your conversation with Eli, the guy from Frisco, when he just called in earlier in the stream. And what he was saying about when the Austin guy went to Alaska, it reminded me of this book that we had to read for summer reading long time ago, probably 7th or 8th grade. And I had to look up the name of the book. It's called Touching Spirit Bear. And it's about this like troubled kid who has to go live in remote Alaska for a year. And he he like beat up some guy and then he had to like go there as punishment. But when he said that that guy had to go to Alaska, it reminded me of that. Now it's probably not the same situation, but it did kind of make me wonder, oh, maybe they're doing some sort of weird training or weird like mental training out there or something like that. I wouldn't know, but it made me think of that.
That is very interesting. I haven't read that book, but I'll look more into it.
Yeah. Also, and yeah, in regards to the main topic of the stream, I mean, I've never been to an NFL game. I don't plan on going to one. I did go to a couple
the stadium educating about gematria, though.
Yeah, I've been close. Yeah, I did go to a couple of Major League Baseball games last year because I was dating a girl whose family had tickets to. They had like it wasn't quite season tickets, but it was like the closest thing. It was like 20 game pack or something like that to the Rangers game. So I did get invited to a couple of baseball games last year. But yeah, no, I don't plan on attending these Major League sports games. But yeah, I just wanted to get that thing in about the Alaska thing, but that's it.
All right. Appreciate it, Evan. Thanks, man. All right. I got to feed Sweet Girl. So what I'll do is, for anyone who's never listened to the interview, let me know if the audio sounds good. I'll play the interview from January 22nd, 2020 with Larry Johnson when he came on Truth Frequency Radio with yours truly. And funny enough, that was 4 days before the Kobe news broke. But yeah, let me know in the chat if it sounds good. I'm going to start it right now. All right, you guys are saying there's no audio. Maybe I can't. I muted my mic here. Maybe that messed it up. Here, let's try again. Let's try it this way. And right now, Larry Johnson's calling in, you guys. So we're going to go to Larry Johnson right now. Larry, do I have you on the line?
Yeah,
Thank you so much for phoning in. I really appreciate it.
no problem.
So for our listening audience, this is Larry Johnson, former great running back for the Kansas City Chiefs, who's recently become one of the biggest truth speakers online that I'm very grateful for. And he's even given some shout outs to this knowledge of gematria, which I very much appreciate. Larry, since we got you, what has inspired you to do what you're doing right now?
Just the fact that I know what it's like to be fooled. I know what it's like to be tricked and hoodwinked and bamboozled. So I don't want this generation to fall under the same spell I fell under and not be able to come out of it. Because my belief is that the time is growing short. You see the evil picking up more and more each month. It's always something new, something disgusting, and I want people to understand there's a way out of it if they understand the truth of all of it.
Indeed. Larry, did you watch the college football championship this year?
No, I didn't, but I saw some of the scores and all that, so I really don't really pay attention to it anymore.
Well, were you aware that in the fourth quarter, the announcer did a numerology lesson on the death of Billy Cannon, the former Heisman winner for LSU, who beat Clemson the same year in the championship in New Orleans?
Oh, that's what, yeah, I heard of that.
Okay, so the thing that's beyond coincidence is that the same day that Billy Cannon died is the same day that Joe Burrow transferred to LSU. And, of course, went on to win the Heisman and then the championship over Clemson in New Orleans. So, a perfect mirror of what Billy Cannon accomplished. And Billy Cannon did it 60 years before him, and Joe Burrow had 60 passing touchdowns this year. The announcer made a point about several of these things, and for years I've been saying that all of this stuff is perfectly scripted from college to pro, and it's all ritual. I've heard you say as a player, you didn't really see the rigging while you're in the game, but you see it now. Do you think that any of the games that you were in as a college player, there could have been a perfect fix in on?
I wouldn't say not in college because we weren't really ranked. I think that stuff only kind of happens with teams that are ranked, and it's supposed to convey some type of weird message under this matrix. When I was playing, I just didn't see any of those games. Like, I was with Joe Paterno where he made all of those specific games where he broke records as far as being the all-time winning coach. I was with him, and none of those games seemed fixed. Those games seemed like, anything was done with them. I don't know. Like, being a player, you are under the matrix. You're under this system where you can't even tell what's going on. You just feel like you're playing and everything is the plays. And when you get to the league, you feel like, oh, guys are making, plays. And when you look at the game now, you can tell something's not right.
And it seems to get more and more far-fetched every year, if you will. Just the incredible comebacks. And I hear what you're saying. So, Larry, just so you know, when you called in, we're getting close to the commercial break. We got quick commercial breaks. It's coming up in 3 minutes. But if you can stay with me through the commercial break, I'd appreciate it. But just before we get there, I've also heard you say that you're not sure the games were fixed in the time you were in the NFL. But here's my perspective as an outsider looking in. I was wide awake when 9/11 happened, and the Patriot Act, and then all of a sudden the New England Patriots were the greatest team there ever was. And I just thought, look at it. I mean, 9/11, Patriot Act, Patriots. Drew Bledsoe's career is ended by a New York Jet with the Patriots, essentially. Like the New York Jets took down the towers, and they look like massive 11s in New York, the 11th state, on the 11th of the month, and Bledsoe wore 11. I was just looking at all that back then. I didn't know Gematria, but I just saw there was some sort of rituals going on, a national emergency on 911. I mean, looking back, maybe you didn't realize it was fixed while you're in the league, but I've heard you say you're not sure if it was fixed. Then don't you think, like, all of that's probably beyond coincidence?
Yeah, it's got to be a beyond coincidence, but people don't really understand this part of it. It's entertainment. That is why after every game, NFL always plays that goofy little jingle at the end of it where they spin the shield around and say, this has been a presentation of the National Football League. They're telling you it's a presentation. It's entertainment. It's supposed to trick you, or is witchcraft into making you think that it's just like a game outside with your boys. When it's not, it's a presentation. They're presenting you a specific product, and they know they've been changing it to match their weird little satanic agenda. But if you look at the Atlanta Falcons game and Tom Brady, that one of those comebacks, I knew something wasn't right. And when you look at the Rams game and the Patriots game, you knew something wasn't right. I knew something wasn't right because they were playing defense 3 to 4 deep when they allowed Edelman to all of a sudden run these weird 5 and 10 yard ends, and he made an NFL MVP, a Super Bowl MVP off that game by just running drags. Now, Marcus Peters, they got the fastest backfield. How can you let Edelman burn you on the underneath unless they're telling you that we're going to make him get the Super Bowl MVP, and we're going to back all the DBs and linebackers up so he can have the under routes?
Indeed. I'm saying the exact same things. And then you learn Gematria, you realize things like Super Bowl most valuable player sums to 108. The Super Bowl last year was exactly 108 days from Edelman's birthday, and that's a special number. There's a reason they sew 108 game balls for the Super Bowl. In Gematria, geometry equals 108. In the shape of the footballs, the Vesica Pisces, one of the most important shapes in sacred geometry. Vesica Pisces equals 53, while you got that 53 and a third yard wide field and 53-man roster. Larry, we're about to hit the commercial break. It's just a 2-minute break. You know what? Since we're on YouTube streaming too, we can still talk through the break. The people on the air will miss it. For people on the air, if you want to flip over to YouTube, Gematria Effect News, you can hear us talk through the break. But yeah, we'll just continue on, Larry. So what I wonder is, I mean, you're really putting yourself out there as a professional athlete, and I heard you do another interview and say, you know, your livelihood still kind of depends on the NFL because essentially your NFL pension. I mean, do you feel like you're putting yourself in danger of financial punishment or worse doing this?
No, not really. I don't think so. I mean, obviously, say like this, if they cut off my pension and all that, and I end up going crazy, or something happens to me where I lose my mind or something, and I end up hurting somebody, they could sue the NFL, and they could sue the NFL for hundreds of billions because you took away a guy who needed the money to survive or live. They could look at it like that. So I don't think it's that deep enough. I think we're so far gone in this matrix system, it don't really matter what I say. People think I'm crazy anyway. So this one person is not really going to change what their program is already is. Like you said, like this program been set 100 to 200 years before this even happened. Like these things are set. They're on a, like, it's on autopilot right now. So me talking about this really doesn't make any difference. It may wake up like maybe a couple 100, 200 people here or there, but it's not really going to change and destroy the system.
I hear what you're saying. I mean, it's tough to beat this system. People are really invested in the matrix. I try to remain optimistic and think. I read a book long ago when I was a teenager and feeling somewhat hopeless about what was going on in the world, and it was about how you need 20% of a population to change the minds of the other 80%. And it is difficult to get 2 out of 10 people in the society, because I'd say about 1 in 100 are awake, maybe a little bit better than that. But I still maintain this optimism. And I got to admit, I see you on Twitter. You have hundreds of people sharing all your stuff. And I wish it was thousands and tens of thousands. But if you keep at it, it could get to be that. So with what you just said, I'm just the people who are close to you, like your closest friends and family, what's happened in the time you've been speaking out?
I don't have any closer friends or family anymore. I barely even speak to my own family these days. And that's because when you speak more truth and it goes against people who are working in that system, it's kind of embarrassing. It makes me look even more insane, because if you got a family that's invested in this system, in this matrix, it's hard to try to pull them out of it because their identity is attached to this system. So I can't really do anything. Their success is, who they are, the reputation is all based on this matrix system, and I can't pull them out of it. So I kind of distance myself away, and hopefully they find out sooner or later. But it's going to be really getting harder. More and more we go into this, it's going to be harder to escape it, because these things are happening for a reason. And I think if you see the way Satanism has just really creeped into the sports arena, it's going to be, the bottom's going to fall out one day. And I feel fear for a lot of people who are thinking that we have a lot of time left to just mess around, and we don't. Professional athletes like LeBron James, Dwayne Wade, they're doing satanic things inside those sports systems, and I don't think people are fully awake to what's going on.
So that's another question I have for you, because I agree. The controllers of these leagues, the media, the powers that shouldn't be, as I call them, they are absolutely Luciferian or satanic. They do not have positive intentions, and they have essentially what I would refer to as their puppets, their top entertainers, their top athletes, going out and carrying out their rituals. Did you ever get a hint of this or a taste of this when you were playing in the NFL?
This the funny part. Like, I signed I signed a modeling deal with Rockaware to just wear Rockaware and be in the shows. Then I signed a S. Dark Carter cleat deal just to wear the Jay-Z's cleat deal that he had with Reebok, and he paid me for that. And at the time, I was in the end zone throwing up the diamond. See, I'm thinking it was just strictly rap and hip-hop, and it was from Rockefeller, not knowing I'm throwing up Masonic pyramids. So then I stepped back and looked at this after I was done. I felt really ashamed that I was doing it. I was embarrassed that, damn, this is what I was doing the whole time. I didn't even know I was doing it. I didn't really see the really satanic side of it, because I was so locked into the witchcraft. I thought I was, representing Jay-Z, but it's come to find out he's a Luciferian. And, his wife's a Luciferian. Like, it goes so far deep into it that I just didn't dig hard enough.
Sure. Okay, so here's I've received a lot of criticism for putting a lot of the blame on Freemasonry for what I see going on in the world, and I've seen that you're also talking about Freemasonry. And again, the point I come from is I realize, okay, this nation, founded by many Masons, the nation's capital is named after a Freemason. This is one of the most powerful, this is the most powerful secret society in the world, and it has been around for a long time. It's well established. It's had millions of members for centuries. And Masonry has so much influence. American football is credited to the Scottish Rite Freemason Walter Camp. American baseball is credited to the Freemason Abner Doubleday, and you can go right on down the list. So I just see so much influence from these secret societies, and then I see the numerical rituals, the gematria, all of this stuff is Masonic. What is it that made you start calling out Masonry's role in this?
Because I started digging deep. I did the same thing you did. I was like, well, all right, I knew Jay-Z. I saw the pictures of him being a Freemason. But then you start digging, and like you said, George Washington, then you start understanding the link between all of these pagan gods that they worship. And then I started seeing rap stars go from putting their fists in the air to start doing devil horns. Then I started connecting to that. And then I started seeing all these goat references. Everybody has to have a goat and everything. And then I saw Tom Brady with a goat and everything. So to me, I was just more paying attention to the symbolism more than anything, because I've seen people actually change over time. And I was like, when did black folks start doing devil horns? I thought that was like a rock and roll thing in the 70s. But they had adapted that symbology, and so that made me start digging more and knowing that it was more about Masons, because they have the same color coding as the black and white checkerboard. And if it's the black and white checkerboard, they have the Eye of Horus. Then it's the pyramid. And it kind of snowballs from there.
Indeed. It just seems that if you do your homework in this area, it's going to lead you in that direction. And I will say that there's other powerful secret societies. There's Jesuits, there's Knights of Malta, there's Knights Templar, but at the core, they're all Masonic. Okay, so just since you're okay, Larry, I don't mean to scare you off, and I'm not trying to make any accusations here, but when I first caught wind of you speaking out, it was because the mainstream media kind of attacked you, like, oh, look at Larry, he's blaming Freemasons and saying there's this, effeminate agenda in the NFL and NBA. And so a lot of mainstream media shared your tweet from August 29th, where you really called out this effeminate agenda. And, I do my decoding. I'm just suspicious of everything I see in the mainstream. And I made a video about it, and I said, you know what? I love that an NFL athlete's doing this, but I got to scratch my head. And I reminded people there's an organic side to this too. But all the media emphasized the feminine agenda, the wording you used, and they went after you on August 29th, the day you made this tweet. The gematria of a feminine agenda sums to 82, and it was exactly 82 days from your birthday when this happened. And on the same day that you made that tweet, Prince's half-brother died in Kansas City, Missouri, and I thought that was interesting because Prince kind of dressed feminine. He wore the high heels, the makeup. He's associated with the NFL because he had that memorable halftime performance in the rain, from Purple Rain. It's the only time that ever rained at a halftime show was when he was performing from Purple Rain. But I thought it was so strange because the day of that tweet, August 29th, is the 241st day of the year, leaving 124 days remaining. And in gematria, Kansas City, Missouri equals 241 and 124. And I was just like, what are the odds of this? Larry Johnson, the Kansas City Chiefs star, and Prince's half-brother, on the same day, and the Chiefs are front runners for the NFL. I mean, do you have anything? Is it just coincidental, or?
No, it's probably some weird. It's probably a system code that's locked into. Like, somebody else read me my gematria as far as my numerology chart and all that, and they said that my biggest enemy was the goat. So I take it there. So my enemy is basically Luciferian. So that lines up to I'm going to be on the other side, they're going to be on that side, and we're going to be always clashing and going against each other. So it could be looked at as that, but to me, I saw this a long time ago of guys, trying to do a commercial with pink cupcakes, and you see Cam Newton wearing a scarf over his head. You see Todd Gurley doing a commercial with a pink tutu on. I mean, that kind of mess speaks for itself. It just happened to be a coincidence that I choose that day to speak out against it.
Yeah, there's absolutely an organic side. So it makes sense to me. And yeah, I think you're absolutely right. I've been saying the same thing even before I heard you say it. I don't know if you caught this past weekend, but the 49er running back Coleman hurt his wrist, and he stood there playing with his wrist in the middle of the field for like 5 minutes, and they had to cart him off for a wrist injury. Would you say this plays into this agenda?
It does, because before, if guys would sprain their MCL or tear their ACL, and guys used to be like, no, you gotta give me crutches or let me hobble off, or even if they sprain their ankle, they would hobble off.
Right.
Yeah, it definitely does show that right now as far as being weak. And what's the coincidence that the first time a female gay coaches on a team, their team goes right to the Super Bowl. I mean, they write these scripts, and people are dumbfounded that these things happen. I was like, what do you expect? They wanted this to be. It's always that red versus blue. Like Kansas City is going to be the conservative side, and of course the blue liberal side is San Francisco. So they have to always match it up that way.
If you're not aware of this, I'm calling it the Joe Montana Bowl and the Impeachment Bowl. The Super Bowl is 54 days from Nancy Pelosi's birthday, who's from San Francisco, who's leading the impeachment charge against Trump. And it's 134 days from Trump's birthday, and impeach equals 134, as does Make America Great Again. So they got, and again, they synced up the World Series with the day the World Series concluded was 138 days after Donald Trump's birthday. It was October 30th, and that was the same day Nancy Pelosi brought out the impeachment to the public, the impeachment inquiry to the public. Washington Nationals equals 107, and impeachment equals 107. The Nationals won the World Series 138 days after Donald Trump's birthday. Donald Trump's 138, Nationals is 138, Federal's 138, Dave Martinez is 138, the manager of the Nationals. And now you have the Chiefs, like the commander-in-chief, versus Nancy Pelosi's San Francisco 49ers, and the biggest star on the field is Patrick Mahomes, and the Super Bowl is 138 days after his birthday. Again, that Donald Trump number. So you're right. It is absolutely synced up with the politics and the red and blue. It's right on. And then the funny thing is Joe Montana also equals 54. It's his two teams playing each other. Do you have any connection? Do you still interact with any of the members of the Chiefs like a Patrick Mahomes?
No, those guys are I'm way older than those guys. There's no one on that team I ever even played with. I barely know any of those guys' names now except for Mahomes and Tyreek Hill.
Sure. I was just wondering if you maintain any relations with the team, because again, I just wonder if these players are aware of the things that go on. So Patrick Mahomes, he defeated Len Dawson's 1964 touchdown passing record November 11th, 2018. And I don't know if you remember this story, but the same day he did that, his girlfriend and her father were in the stands, and reportedly the father died at the stadium in the game when he broke this record. And now the Super Bowl is exactly 64 weeks after he broke that record, the 64 touchdown passing record, and Kansas City Chiefs equals 64. And the whole Super Bowl is also synced up with Joe Montana's 64th birthday. It's 131 days from Joe Montana's birthday, and Super Bowl is 131. But I just wonder how many. Maybe you have a thought on this. Every year we document all these ritualistic deaths that are perfectly synced with the championship, college and pro. And I just wonder if the players realize what's going on, or if they're oblivious to it, and it's more like the satanic controllers of the league who are responsible. Maybe you have a thought on that.
I would say some of the players are picking out people for ritual murder. It was like that when I got in trouble for calling out Megan Thee Stallion and said her mom died for brain tumor. Right after that, she signed a deal with Roc Nation and Jay-Z. And you hear the rapper The Baby. He gets a record there. His record goes #1 the same day his dad died. So I think some of these players or some of these people do know that they're sacrificing their own relatives for fame. It was like that with Kanye West when his mother died.
Mm-hmm.
He came from debt, and all of a sudden he is where he is now. It's just, you go back, Rihanna, she took a picture with her cousin. A couple of days later after that, he was shot dead in Barbados or whatever. So it's just a trail. Like, if you look at all the industry entertainers, they sacrifice. This is what they believe in. They believe in Baal worship. Baal worship is you sacrifice someone you love for wealth and money. It's been like that. If you look at the Washington D.C. Capitol, if you go do an aerial view, it's a picture of an owl within the same city. It's the same thing of Moloch. It's the same belief system.
Indeed. Okay, that's kind of how I feel. But again, I'm on the outside looking in, trying to figure it out. Did you ever see anything happen to anyone you were close with in the entertainment industry like this?
Not really. Like I said, if it's a secret society thing, it's going to be secret. They only do it within people that are high up, and the rest of us were just kind of tagging along around them for a little bit. We weren't there to see the rituals or them actually going through their own business. That's why they were away from us at that time. But when we were with them, it was kind of like hanging out, partying, and all that. So.
Right. Okay.
But I would say I do have my suspicions when it came to Kanye West. After his mom died, I was close with one. His cousin had a baby who mysteriously died, and he was just posting this child's death for a year, and then he turned around and had another baby. So it feels to me that this is the cousin that I knew was close enough to Kanye that this young child died the same way Snoop's his son died, was kind of the same way. Like, they were newborn babies, and they were just dead with no reason. It was like, was he sick or nothing? It's always a part of the same music entertainers.
Right, and it really is rampant. I mean, I've spent a lot of time the last 6 years just showing how many of these entertainers lose so many people so close to him. You might remember a couple years ago, Ben Simmons goes #1. They have him and his cousin that he brings to the draft with him on TV. They're part of the show, and then the next day you wake up and the news headline is that his cousin was ran over by a car after the draft.
Yeah, it was the same thing. Wasn't it like that with Kevin Durant? Didn't Kevin Durant have a half brother that he was hanging out with, and then he was shot dead too? And then Kevin Durant ends up in Brooklyn.
Well, and that whole death was synced up with the Warriors appearing in the NBA Finals this year, which they lost, and Kevin Durant supposedly got hurt. But yeah, absolutely. I mean, it really does go on all the time. It's so, I spend so much time doing this. It's just so rampant. I even lose track because it's just so many. Megan Thee Stallion, all these things you just brought up, I've covered over the years and a whole lot more. And it seems like almost every year on Super Bowl Sunday, you read about a former player, another athlete dying. A couple years ago, it was supposedly an Indianapolis Colt who was hit by a drunk driver, and supposedly he was standing by the side of the freeway in the middle of the night. It's like, how does that even make sense?
Exactly. But when they own the media and they own all the entertainment moguls and they own the puppets, they cover these stories, so then the public like, oh man, that's a tough story. But people like you and I, like, that doesn't make sense.
It doesn't, man. They call us conspiracy theorists, and I call them coincidence theorists. And so Larry, it makes me sad to hear that even like someone I'm living the same thing as you. All my good friends have abandoned me for speaking out. My sister hates my guts now, and her and I always had a good relationship. My mom and my dad, they still tolerate me, but they're not really interested in, well, my mom a little bit, not my dad so much. But I'm living the same thing as you. And I was thinking, this Larry Johnson, man, this was one of the greatest football players we've seen in decades. And he's got to command some respect, but even still, you're saying that you've been abandoned, and that just shows me how powerful this cognitive dissonance is. What do you think it is about humanity that makes them hate us truth speakers so much, if you will?
It's not that they hate us. They hate the fact that there's a little tiny voice in their head a little tiny voice in their head that says, maybe we're right. And they'd rather hate us and shun us to just to 1 minute indulge in that truth, because then it unravels everything they ever believed in, and they have been lied to ever since they've been born. No one wants to hear they've been lied to in the ages when they were 50, 60, 70 years old. No one wants to know that they've been lied to. So you hold on to the lie so tightly because you don't want to know how deep this can go. Me and you are different because we're like, all right, this is the truth. How far down does this truth go? And we're willing to sacrifice everything, all in relationships, to find that truth, and we're better for it. But there's some people who are holding on so tight to this lie because they don't unravel who they actually are.
Indeed. I think that's well said, and you're right on. So again, your inspiration is part of your inspiration to speak out. I know you have a younger child. Are you trying to make a better world for them, or are you trying to right wrongs of the past?
To tell you the truth, man, I'm petty. I like to prove things. I like to prove people wrong. That's always been the key to my success when I played football was, if somebody told me I couldn't run 2,000 yards, I run 2,000 yards. If somebody told me that you could never make a Pro Bowl in the National Football League, I make the Pro Bowl in the National Football League. If people told me this is what reality is and you have to accept it, I'm not going to accept it. I'm going to prove you there's a different reality you don't know about, and I'm going to dig deep enough, and then I'm going to offend you with it. That's usually my thing. So it's not me building a better world. I want people to open their eyes and see what's going on around them, because it's going to come a time when you have to make a split decision. Are you going to go with the truth, or are you going to go with the lie? And I want to give you some time to digest that before you put in a situation where you're not going to be able to turn back.
Okay, I got it. I'm a little bit that way too, so I understand. I think a lot of people can relate with that. Another thing I'm curious about. Now, am I mistaken, or have you identified as a Hebrew Israelite?
That to me, that really don't make sense. In the book, there were Israelites.
Okay.
Hebrew. When they say black Hebrew Israelite, that makes no sense. In the biblical sense, Israelites were all black. So I identified. I should identify it because this is the history of what it is. But I also just are in following the Most High. It doesn't matter if you're Israelites. It doesn't matter if we're blue, brown, and green in a different religion. It matters if I'm following every single step in the book of God. That is what's going to get me to heaven. It doesn't matter for me. It helps that I'm an Israelite because we're a chosen seed and we're chosen to be set apart, but it don't guarantee you to get to heaven. So I kind of just live my life following the book of God, and I try to get everybody else, regardless if they're black or white, if they're Gentile or they're not. I want everybody to be able to understand his grace and long suffering.
I understand that. I actually get a lot of flack because I've spoken up about this too. I've always pointed out to people that the oldest person from the Old Testament, Methuselah, was black. There's the story in the books that have been removed from the Bible about how he gives birth to an albino child, Noah, and that weirds him out. So that is the sign that, yes, the original Israelites of the Bible were of a darker complexion. They were black. A lot of people get frustrated with me about that. How have you come to understand that is the truth?
Because like you said, Noah was albino. His son Japheth took on the whiter side. Shem, which comes from the seed, was Shem is father of Abraham, Isaac, Jacob. Ham, which is the Ethiopians, the Egyptians, that side. Once you understand that part of history, and you understand in Japheth's line, Ashkenaz, that's why you get the Russian, that's why you get the Israelis that are in Israel right now. They come from Ashkenaz and Japheth. They come from out of Russia, Khazaria, Sephardic, European Jews. That's where they come from. So when I started looking at the curses of the book of Deuteronomy 28:68, it says we were sent by ship into a land we would not know to worship wood and stone. That is where we are. That is what the tribe of Judah is. If they scurried from 70 AD, they fled persecution from Rome, flew into West Africa. Europe came down, took us from the transatlantic slave out of West Africa, and ended up over America and some of the Virgin Islands. And that's how I understood it. When I explained it to people, they don't want to hear it, but it just, I know this, it hurts them because they've been told all their lives that the Jews over there are the real Jews.
Sure. And to connect this to a point you made earlier about how, like, the time is near, we need to wake up and change our path now because time is short. Were you aware that last year, 2019, in August, according to the history books, it was the 400th year that since slavery, or the first slave ships had arrived in America?
Mm-hmm.
So Acts 7:6 talks about the 400 years of mistreatment in a nation not their own. And there's something interesting about that 7:6. In Gematria, Negro, Slave, Rasta, Blues, Barack Obama, they all equal 76. The Million Man March was on the day, leaving 76 days left in the year. But then the next verse, Acts 7:7, is about how that nation will be punished. And United States equals 77. And there's a huge racial element in this Super Bowl. ESPN called this the year of the black quarterback on September 3rd, 2019, with a picture of Mahomes and Lamar Jackson. And the Super Bowl, it's in Miami Stadium, which is built on a Native American burial ground. A lot of historians say that a lot of the true natives were of African descent in the United States when the Europeans first arrived here. So with regards to the 7-7 piece and putting this racial element on the Super Bowl and how they connect these sports to what's going on with history and politics and everything else, I just noticed that if the Chiefs did beat the Niners, they would be tied at 7-7, and Jimmy Garoppolo equals 77. He just had 77 yards to advance to the Super Bowl, beating Green Bay. Green Bay's 77. Bart Starr just died 77 days in the offseason before the Packers' anniversary establishment, August 11th. So anyway, what I'm trying to say is, based on all this biblical prophecy, I mean, that there's things to support what you're saying. When you say things are near, like how close do you feel that it is?
I think in the next 4 years is very close. If you see the California fires, California has always had fires, but not at this rate. Australia had fires, not at this rate. The earthquakes that Puerto Rico got, not at this rate. The tornadoes and hurricanes that we have had in the Midwest last year, not at this rate. And that's only the things that they've reported on. People don't understand. It's been 50 certain tornadoes in the Midwest area, and you only heard about 4 or 5 of them. If you check out of the news media that they're giving you and start looking around and doing your own investigation, you will find out judgment is already coming. He said that he would use judgment by the way of weather and the way of the earth be having birth pains. So the weather is acting crazy right now. It's not because of climate change. It's because judgment is happening. He doesn't move and strike and just boom, everybody's judged. He moves so slowly and meticulously to be able to punish those who are under punishment, and that's what we're going through right now. That's why the weather is the way it is right now.
Okay, I'm hearing that. Do you believe in weather warfare?
That's just something they put out there so people can take away from what God really controls. There's nothing that goes on unless God allows it to happen.
Well, okay, think about this. During the time of Vietnam, the U.S. admitted that they were doing cloud seeding over Vietnam to increase rainfall by a huge percentage to flood out the Vietnamese troops who were dependent on their tunnels and, working their way through the jungle. So, I mean, weather warfare is really a real thing. I'm not discounting what you're saying, but do you, I mean, because to me, the way I look at it is that the people who control this world, bankers, people that live off the misery of others, because the more destruction they create in the world, the more people need, for example, I mean, if a storm comes through town and does a bunch of property damage, well, then the government has to go out and get a loan from the central banks, and people who run those banks, which are private, they're making profit off of all of that interest. So do you ever look up at the sky and think like, what are all those trails left behind by the planes?
I mean, I do, but if you I mean, I know where your head's at, but if you take it on a spiritual level, all those top 5 banking families, that's who the synagogue of Satan is. All those Rothschilds, who do they serve? They serve Satan. So basically, if you look at this thing as America or this world, this weather is like Job. Satan had to go ask God, could he test Job and God removed the heads from Job for Satan to even touch him, but not kill him. That's how it is with the weather. So if God is posting judgment on this world, and Satan has a device that can double its measure, wouldn't he go to God and say, I want to do this? And God said, well, I'm having judgment. I'm going to remove the hedge from certain countries so they can have this type of judgment, and that's what's happening. I don't doubt that they have devices that can do it, but I'm saying they have to have permission in order to do it, and that's why God is more powerful, because he allows it to happen.
I see. That all makes sense to me. To go back to your point last year about the terrible fires in California that really got rolling November 8th, 118. In Gematria, Paradise, California equals 118. Los Angeles, California equals 118. And Los Angeles also on the 118th meridian. This year, a year later, on August 11th, that's when the headlines really took off about Australia burning, and words such as death and homicide equal 118. They called those the deadliest wildfires in California history last year. Would you say that that's more organic, or again, do you think there's a possibility that there could be some manipulation to start these fires? Because just before the August 11th fires, if you go back, the biggest fire in California just before that was referred to as the Masonic fire.
I think the people who understand the Bible and understand this world more than we do have already planned this whole world war. If you know anything about Albert Pike, he was able to guess every one of these world wars, including the World War III. So I think they know what's going to happen. I think they just lock everything up as it goes on, so people keep thinking like they are. They keep thinking that this is just climate control. I think they have thought about every single judgment and everything that's going to happen. They already know what's going to happen, so they line it up that way in order to tell you, like, hey, it's just math, that it's coincidental. But I think that they purposely do this so they can confuse people into thinking that God is not real. That's the whole gist of this world, is to convince you God isn't real and this is Satan's world. Which it is. He runs it, but it ain't his.
I agree. They that's definitely part of the programming in our society, is to get people to dismiss God and think that spirituality is part of the old world and now everything is science and education, and it's tragic. So I'm with you on that. Larry, you've been on for almost an hour. You're welcome to stay on as long as you want, but I know that you just did do an interview before this, and you're doing a lot of interviews, and you're a family man. Is there anything else you want to say? But
you got any more questions? Like one or two questions?
Well, I could trust me, man. I could ask you questions all night. I didn't want to be rude and keep you on here too long, because I knew you did an interview right before this. Are you going to watch the Super Bowl this year?
You know what it is? I'm going to watch it just up to the halftime, because I'm so interested in how they're going to put the Masonic symbolism of we need to love everybody and all the pyramid. I have Horus. I know I'm going to see the symbolism within the halftime show that Jay-Z's doing. So I'm boots on, and I'm ready to go into that, because I know I'm gonna post about it. I really want people to see what's really going on in front of their eyes, because you've been waking people up. I've been waking people up. So I think this is like our Super Bowl of showing the symbolism of Masonic symbolism is the Super Bowl halftime show, and you're going to see a lot of those things during the commercial. So I'm going to watch the game up to that point.
Okay, that makes I'm always real interested in the halftime show too. Shakira, who's performing, did you realize the Super Bowl's on her 43rd birthday?
No, I didn't know that.
Yeah, she's going to turn 43 that day. And Gematria football equals 43. So does Masonic. So does Yale. American football is credited to Walter Camp, who went to Yale and was likely a member of Skull and Bones. And what's interesting is, if you've ever seen me do my work on the Gematria decodes, I teach 4 base ciphers: the alphabetic order with the rules numerology, the reverse alphabetic order with the rules numerology. Her name is 122 and 50, like San Francisco and like Kansas City, and then it's 67 and 31 like Chiefs in Kansas City as well. So her name has all the numbers of the 2 teams that are meeting. And you're right, it's going to be chock full of symbolism. again, Larry, want to say thank you so much for coming on. I hope in the future we could have you back because there's a million other things I'd love to ask you. And as time goes on, more will come up. But I just want to say again, I'm really appreciative of you speaking out and sharing this knowledge. It means a lot. And I think I'm a little bit more optimistic than you. I totally hear your attitude. You're more realistic, I'd say. But I just have to keep this optimism. Otherwise, I just get so depressed, honestly. And I just think if you keep doing what you're doing, man, it is going to open eyes. And I'm sure Twitter's making sure not as many people are seeing your things because if a lot of NFL fans realize that Larry Johnson, this former NFL great running back, was kind of spilling the beans and putting out some wisdom, I think that would open more eyes. So I hope you don't stop doing what you're doing. And again, I'm super grateful. I know a lot of people in this community are super grateful, and I hope we can talk again. So thank you very much for being with us tonight.
Oh, thank you so much. Hey, it's because of you guys. I'm now working on getting my own podcast going and actually doing my whole symbolism show and all that from podcasts. Because of you guys, you encouraged me to actually step it up. I wasn't going to do anything. I was just like, I'll just stick to Twitter or Instagram. But then it's just that bug hits you that, you guys are doing great work. And I was like, well, I might as well do it too. So I'm working on getting my own podcast channel and everything up and like that. So when I got to get it going, I definitely love to come back on and we can obviously keep this conversation and opening up people's eyes too.
Hey, awesome, man. I will definitely be subscribed. Can't wait for that. If you ever want a guest to talk about Gematria, I would love to. And actually, Larry, I forgot to ask you one more question. And by all means, I'm totally expecting to know because this is short notice. But next Wednesday, I'm traveling down to New Orleans in Louisiana to educate that college campus about all of the murder rituals that have gone on in relation to their championship, Billy Cannon and beyond. A rapper in New Orleans, Fifth Ward Weeby, was just murdered at age 42 days before his birthday, just 4 days before Clemson beat the Tigers with 42 points. 42 is this number stamped all over Black history. I'm not sure if you're aware of that. A few years ago on Jackie Robinson's birthday, the man who wore the number 42, the baseball player Oscar Gamble, died 42 days after his own birthday on Jackie's birthday. Rajuel Butler, the basketball player, died in a car crash like Jackie's son. And Don Lemon, the anchor from CNN, his sister supposedly fell through the ice on a pond and drowned and froze to death. All three of these celebrities, they were all black, and all of their names summed to 42, like Jackie, number stamped all over Black history in a million ways. So I'm going to be down in New Orleans, going around the LSU, New Orleans, Fifth Ward, educating people, trying to film a documentary. And I don't know if you got anything going on the next week from Wednesday, what is that, the 29th through February 5th, but if you would love to come, or if you'd be willing to come out there, I would love to have you pounding the pavement with me. If not, there will be future missions, but I'm just putting the invite out there.
I appreciate it, man. Thanks a lot.
All right. Appreciate it, Larry. We'll be in touch. You have a great evening.
You too.
All right, take care, man.
Okay, so yeah, that was January 22nd, 2020. I haven't listened to that interview. I need to reach out to Larry because him and I have never collaborated again since that. But you know what? He's still doing his thing. He's been teaching Gematria ever since. You heard it there at the end. He said we inspired him to do it, and he's still doing it. I mean, it's, come January, 6 months from now, it'll be 7 years. So yeah, I'll look into re-collaborating with Larry Johnson. And yeah, it's crazy the way time flies. That New Orleans trip was great. We did get some good interviews out of it, but I never put together a documentary. It's a lot of work. Yeah, it would have been nice if Larry was willing to come out. I was asking a lot, right? Hey, Larry, we just met. We caught in New Orleans and pound paved with us again. I mean, it would have been a lot bigger if he did, but that was a great experience too. So anyway, yeah, I got to spend the rest of the evening with Sweet Girl. If you guys aren't following Larry Johnson, he's mostly on Instagram. 2LarryJohnson7 is the handle. And it's funny, if you search for him on Instagram, if you just search Larry Johnson, you can tell they've got his channel in a way shadow banned. He gets pretty good views and attention, but they don't make it easy to find his Instagram channel. You would think, the two most famous Larry Johnsons are Grandmama, who played for the Charlotte Hornets, and of course Larry Johnson, who was arguably the biggest star in the NFL at one point. Easily outside of quarterbacks, he was the biggest star for any position player. Like I said, I mean, if you guys remember Larry Johnson, for all you fantasy football players, if you were playing fantasy football at that time, he was the number one pick. You got the number one pick in fantasy football, you were taking Larry Johnson all day. So, yeah. Like I said earlier, you guys, if more people were doing the good work, there'd probably be more Larry Johnsons in the world. People on the inside speaking out. And I didn't listen to that interview, but I just know I just remember he wasn't as forthcoming in that interview. I'd have to go back and listen to it myself. You know, I was in the other room, so I didn't hear it. But I remember there were certain things he kind of held back on that if you listen to him now, he's way more of an open book about that. That was at the beginning of him starting to speak out. Now it's almost 7 years later. So he's obviously become more comfortable doing this. And I guess it just, you know, you wouldn't really expect anything different. So shout out to the super chatters that came in. Jill Warsaw said, let's call them the Not For Long League, NFL. Not for long. I like it. Chris said, Frieden, 38. Murder, 38. Santa Monica. So we must have another 38 death ritual. Oh, it's this Jennifer Finch. I see. Yeah. Nice decode there, Chris. Chris has pounded payment with us all over the place. Gave a lot of super chats. I'll look more into it, Chris, but it looks like you hit the main points just like I would. And Slick Nick has an observation about, since we started off talking about Larry's video on Chris Johnson. Yeah. If you missed my work on Michael K. Smith, Eric Dane, I mean, it's out there. You can always go to my website and read the post. I was kind of showing them silently in the background quickly while some other people were talking. But yeah, I got to take care of Sweet Girl now, so we'll leave it there. And these view counts going way up is like a really weird thing lately. I don't know what that's about. It's obviously some kind of manipulation. I don't know who would do it, but it is strange. All right. We'll leave it there for now, you guys. Thanks again, everyone who hits the like and the share. By the way, if you guys could please hit the like. If you've noticed, all of my videos have really bad likes for the month of July. Take a look at the July videos, you guys. The likes are just way down. And I have a feeling it's not less people are hitting the like. I have a feeling it's some new algorithm game to make things even worse. But the like ratio is terrible. Absolutely terrible. So thank you to everyone who hits the like. Have a great rest of your day. And until next time.